Hey, Hogs Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we doing?
Matt and Mike in the morning. A Don't Unfriend Me production. 20 years combined working in intelligence for multiple agencies. Up to the minute current events, news, geopolitics, and a no bullshit attitude. The best part of waking up is whiskey in your cup. And Matt and Mike in the morning. Tuesday and Thursdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. The Odd Couple. Matt and Mike in the morning.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. This is the Matt and Mike in the morning show. Oh, jeez.
Good morning, Matt. How are you doing?
Happy day.
Happy election.
Happy election day.
Day.
We got it right. We finally, I got it right.
Well, see, that's why I didn't try it, because I knew it's just not going to happen. I'm going to fumble through it. So it's a show with people on it with names that I'm going to mess up.
Yeah, the intro is much better. I like the Brokeback Mountain reference. We had an interesting morning of scrambling to get the new radio intro in, and then obviously recut the video, and we've successfully done it.
And by we, he means Matt, because
right. That's why it's the Matt
Marine
Mike
and
show.
buttons just doesn't go well. So Matt gets all the things done.
Did you know there's 13 buttons on the dress blue uniform for the Marine for the Navy?
For the Navy? No, I've never counted all the Navy buttons. Why?
Well, listen, it's not like the Marines don't have a shit ton of buttons on the dress blues, but it's the flap, the piss flap, and the way it works is it's a little L flap, and then another one goes over the top, and then you've got to do 7 up, and I think it's 6 across.
That sounds horrible.
Oh my God! Yeah, you remember button fly Levi's? Mm-hmm. I loved button flies, but that wasn't as obnoxious as 13. But that was 5, right? And when you go, you just open it up, and then you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everyone's like, "Oh, button flies are so hard." I love button flies. And then you had no chance of the Franks and Beans situation in Something About Mary. Hey, boy, how'd you get the beans above the Frank?
See, this is where you're talking about things that are old enough that it's like, man.
Oh, dude, seriously?
Yes.
You've never seen Something About Mary?
I have, but it's been so
you don't
long
remember.
ago. No, I don't.
That's
remember.
what happens when you get blown up and you have a TBI.
Are we supposed to remember things?
No, you're not. And it's not fair. And I've got to remember that. Like, there'll be times where I'll be like, Mike, put this on the grocery list and remember. And he's like, what did you say? I'm like, bro, can you do A, B, and C? Sure. And then I'm like, actually, now I know. Hey, you better write that down because you're not going to remember.
100%. And actually, I forgot my book today to write stuff down. So if you tell me something today, not going to happen.
I had a dream about that last night.
Uh-oh. Why are you dreaming about me now?
I'm not dreaming about you specifically, but it was your journal. It was weird. Yeah, and I had a dream about it, and I can't remember what it was. I know what it was. There's a video game that I've revisited because I can't play Diablo when Olivia's at work because she'll kill me. She's like, if you go any levels ahead of me, I will cut you.
Is that a divorceable offense?
It is. She won't let me play Diablo because she's a big fan. So I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a great game. And if you ever wanted to go into like Westworld, the TV show from HBO, that's basically it. It's a Western. The graphics are incredible on a 85-inch TV. You're just like, oh, and you get completely like you can live out your outlaw Josie Wales day. But inside there, he has this little journal, and he, sketches and writes things down when they're hunting for some fabled lore. And it reminded me of your book. So in the dream, I was dreaming of it, and then.
Oh, look
at this!
So
look at this! Look at this! Look at this!
Delivery right
dude,
here.
Dude, Pot Pie comes in, and saves the day.
This is what you need.
I can't come on right now.
And I know, and she brings in a notepad and a paper, for green crayons. So thank you, Livy. So
Oh, well, thank you.
So anyway, the whole moral of the story is that your notebook. I was playing Red Dead in my head in the dream, and your notebook came out. I'm like, what the fuck is a Harry Potter notebook doing in Red Dead Redemption in my dream? And
it should be everywhere with you. That has all the cheat codes, all the good spells. Even though you probably don't have that red.
No, we don't. No, there's no spells.
You do now. You can fly around on your broom. You can do a thing, and it's good.
Accio horse. Accio revolver. It was one of the best things on the Nerd Fat podcast. I've alluded to it and told you a little bit about it before, but the Nerd Fat podcast was something that we sprung up when my Apple days, and it's like 2014. We created it. It was me and like 6-7 guys who worked at Apple and Olivia, and this thing blew up. It got like 150,000 followers in the first 30 days, and it crushed. I mean, it was incredible. It was a conflict of interest with Apple, so I had to stop it. But in there, one thing, there's a guy named Ian, very much like you, very big beard. Was total nerd, though. Was not like, definitely not operator alpha. He was more like, preventive maintenance Zulu. But he was a good dude. And he hates my guts now, but that's okay. Most people did from back then. But anyway, we're sitting down doing a show, and we're talking about creating your 5 best fictional characters in a D&D group. And, because this was a nerd podcast, right? Yep. So they're like, some people are like, I'll take Wolverine as my rogue, and he'll backstab, and he's got his regenerative capabilities. Another person's like, ooh, that's great. And then I'll take Juggernaut as my tank. And then for my healer, I'll do, and so we take these characters from all over the fictional world to create this 5-player mega group. Mm-hmm. And Olivia is like, for my tank, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick Cyclops from X-Men, because she didn't know all this stuff. And then she's like, for my rogue, I'll pick Valkyrie, and then Dristo Erden for my DPS, and then Hermione for my healer.
Ooh.
And everybody's like, what the Hermione for your healer? She's not a healing class. And then Ian's like, just classic. And he's like, no, guys, seriously, stop. All she has to do is be like, Accio Band-Aid. and dude, it was choice.
To me, it totally makes sense. I just don't know why you didn't pick Snape or Dumbledore in that, but
Well, that's fine. But once again, this is just a group, right? Mm-hmm. I think I had as my anti-hero Voldemort. I think so. He was my, and that's really hard for Voldy to be an anti-hero, considering he's just like Avada Kedavra to everybody, even his own team. But yeah, it was an interesting show. Good morning, welcome to if you're confused and say, I thought this was a politics show. What are these dorks doing here? This is the Matt and Mike show, and
this is how it goes.
This is what we do
every morning.
Every morning, you just got to break it in. I mean, it's too damn early to be so serious, but we've got a lot to cover. We're going to get right into it. We've got some political stuff to talk about, and I think we're going to try to play the Fox and Friends morning segment if it's going to be nice to me.
Well, did you click the right button?
I did. I clicked the right button, but we've got like a 15-second segue. So let's do this. Let's talk about why is today important? How many states are voting? A lot of people don't even know it's election time. I mean, you're going to wake up and your kids aren't going to be home today. They're going to be home. And you're going to say, why are my kids home? Well, your kids are home because a lot of these schools are election day polling centers. But Mike, walk us through it. This is Virginia. Why is this important? Why is today probably one of the most important days of the year for most Americans?
Well, see, and this is one thing for me is these kids are out of school so much, but growing up in Arizona, like that wasn't a thing. You didn't get off for election day. Granted, they also had other locations for polling places. So when I see all this, it's very weird for me.
Could you guys vote being illegal, or was it?
Listen, it doesn't matter. As soon as you cross that border, you get
that's right.
You get all the papers, you get all the money, you get everything you need.
Get the money.
Yeah, you get the phones,
right?
You get everything.
You get the priority access. You get free needles.
Yeah, You just jump to the front of the line. You get everything.
That's good. That's good. So the Martinez, the first generation, Mike Martinez. When you went in the Marine Corps, did they ask if you were a U.S. citizen?
No, they just assumed no. They just clicked no.
They're like, he's a white boy, so there's no doubt. All right. So voting is important. Go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously, and I believe is it 37 states today?
37 states is my understanding. Now, last night, I want to make a correction. I said it was like 16 or 17, but what I meant was with key positions, Senate positions, and then also the abortion bill. So I misspoke. It's 37 states today, and that's a very large swath.
Yes.
And that's a big impact. So there's a lot of change that can happen today. And Olivia comes over and says, hey, should we go on tonight? Because a lot of this stuff we should talk about. And we very well may have a show this evening, depending. But go ahead.
But yeah, no, this is one of those. Obviously, I'm a big fan of legislation at the lowest level. And this is where it starts. Your local and state level is where all that happens. So this is the time. Whatever way you lean, whatever you believe, this is when you can go out and vote for those candidates who you believe will represent you the best. And this is where wherever you're at on those issues, you get to do something about it and you can get to go vote. Now, I do realize for a lot of these elections, you're picking the best of the worst candidates. Now, once you get down a little bit lower, obviously you're going to get some better quality candidates because they're not as jaded as you get to the presidential level. But no, this is where you can get out, you can get the correct people in office. If you don't like how your state's being run, if you don't like going into massive debt, paying for a bunch of illegals coming in, all their...
Like Mike's family.
Hey, we appreciate it. We're here. It's fine.
That's right.
We already blend in. It's totally good.
Yeah, you guys are doing fine. You've earned your service.
Yeah, and obviously this is also a test case, at least in Virginia, for next year's election for presidential. Of Virginia is that battleground of can the Republicans actually flip the House, keep the House and flip the Senate? And then that will be a wake-up call to Democrats, but also, hey, Republicans, you're doing something. It's working, and now what do you have to do to get the rest of the country behind it? So there's a lot of second and third order effects of what's going to happen today. And I know Youngkin and Virginia has been out as a whole of pushing the early voting and the absentee voting, so that way, and as Youngkin says, we're not coming from that far behind,
right?
Because that's just the Democratic way of doing it. Is they push everything with COVID and the absentee ballots. They want as many in as they can, so that's how you're going to get a lot more people. So Youngkin has done a huge push to get as many people in, so that way. I don't know what the numbers are yet, just because polling just opened just a little bit ago.
Yeah, we won't have exit polls until at least 2 or 3 o'clock. I think the first ones they'll probably do will be around noon. That's usually standard. You have a decent sample size, but a lot of this won't be uncovered until, because a lot of these are propositions too. So yes. It's like there's pieces of legislation that are up on to impact. A lot of these Senate races and House races won't have a clear winner until the end of day. You might see some leads, but it all depends, right? It depends on when they're going to count the mail-in ballots, when they're going to count the day of ballots. Those usually are separated. They're not counted at the same time because they're two completely different things. So there'll be some complexity here. We'll try to walk over through some of the races. We've got a cool video by Fox that really kind of breaks some things down nationally, and we can talk about each one. I want to talk what Mike essentially, what he said is very similar to what I have said in the past and will continue to say, is that if you want to make monumental change in your life, it's not the federal election. The President of the United States very rarely impacts you in any way, shape, or form, minus taxes and we're a de facto state of war. It's not much. There are things that the president does, but it's usually done through executive order. Now, there is overreach, but the thing about executive orders is they have to be tied to some sort of legislation or some sort of initiative, because funding, president doesn't fund his own bills. Now, he can wiggle and do things like take money from the national defense and use it for other things that are assigned to national security or national defense. And that's what he did with the border wall, is take money and appropriated it towards the border wall from national defense. But a lot of people think that the president just has unfettered power to write EOs that allows him to change the Constitution. And it's not true. He can impose certain things and it will still be looked at by the Supreme Court. And if you look at Obamacare, it was in place for 1.5 years before ultimately the Supreme Court said, hey, this is unconstitutional. So he can do certain things like that, but it is limited. The reason I bring that up is because the president really doesn't impact you. If you look at taxes, if you look at surplus and you look at debt ratio for the American citizen of how much they pay or how much they get back, it usually is a fluctuating ride. It's up and down. It's never, you're a Democrat's in office, your taxes go up every time, or a Republican's office, they go down. On a long enough scale over the last 100 years, you can look at that from taxes, and they relatively balance out every 4 to 8 years. You pay a little bit more here, get a little bit more back here. It just depends. So when you're talking about monumental change for your life, it happens at the lowest level of government, and that is state, local, and municipality and townships. So city council impacts you. It impacts your kids. It impacts his taxes. It impacts water. It impacts roadways, bridges.
School boards.
Yeah, school boards, all of it. So if you're not concerned about voting today, you're making a mistake. If you're hearing my voice and you have not punched your ticket, and Mike and I are going right after the show, Mike is taking his bitch to the polls.
Because I did early. I voted early, so
Yeah.
now I got to take my friend over here.
I think
to make
voting
sure he
early
gets-
is fascist, so I don't believe in it. So when I heard that, I was a little disappointed, but he's going to drive me because Olivia has the car today, and after I left Valor, I'm out of a vehicle, and I'm like, should I really buy? Why do I need another car? I don't need another car. In this case, I could just walk my ass. I live in a town that essentially I could throw a rock and it would hit the other side of it. So I'm like, why do I need a car? This is one of those days. These are the days that I go, maybe I should get like a moped or something.
Once that temperature gets below 40, you're like, maybe I need this.
Yeah, but see, I'm not afraid of walking. Like we talked about this. There's Navy guys, and then there's the other side of Navy guys. I don't mind putting on a pair of boots and rucking across town. But anyway, Mike's going to take me to vote. So we have to vote. You got to get out. And even if you're like, it doesn't make a difference, that's not true. That is a blatant lie. I live in a town of 516 people. You're damn right my vote matters. What?
Like, no, when you're at that scale,
Oh, yeah.
every single one matters. Because I know this is slightly off topic, but growing up, we had this thing called Water Wars. And it was a day
Is that the movie with Kevin Costner?
It
Is that where he drank his own pee? Isn't that right? Isn't it Kevin Costner? You know
Yes.
his career was going down. Oscar, Dances with Wolves, and then drinking my own pee.
I mean, y'all got to go somewhere. They didn't have OnlyFans back then, so he had to do something.
Stands with nutty aftertaste. Okay,
Yes.
all right, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, no, it's one of those, like, this is more for the kids, for the town that I grew up. Basically, what they did is there's a courthouse square that's the center of town. And basically what we used to do is you would have folks line up along that with water guns, trucks filled with different kinds of like water balloons and everything. And for a few hours one night, they would get all the kids out just so they can go have a little bit of fun and then they can experience the downtown. And I know like that was the one big event when we were young we always loved to go do. But because I think they voted it out by like 3 votes. And it's all because the town that I lived in has now switched to more of like a senior center.
What a bunch of dicks.
But yeah, it's one of those like you have a whole bunch of kids. Like this is our one night to go have fun. And then when you're done, you go with your family down to the courthouse and you support the local businesses. You get to see what it is. Of course, then we have a bunch of other events. But it's one of those like there's little things that you can do to help the kids in the community go have some fun and just keep that sense of community, which I think is now completely gone in my hometown.
Yeah, they cancel it.
But yeah, it's one of those. It was voted out by 3 votes.
What a bunch of old people.
And granted, this is also 20 years ago, and I'm still not over it. But yeah, it's at the lowest level. Every single vote matters.
Yeah, where were you?
So-
Where did you live in Arizona?
Prescott.
Prescott. I've been to Prescott. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to have stores in Yuma. I had stores in Anthem, Flagstaff,
Yep.
Phoenix, Chandler.
See, now you're down in the armpit of Arizona.
Oh, dude,
Once
there's
you get
no doubt.
Phoenix on down, it's too hot. It's desert.
Oh yeah, no, I loved Anthem. Like we loved Anthem. We loved Flagstaff. We loved Prescott. We loved all. Northern Arizona's gorgeous because it's Colorado basically. You get down south of the Rockies and southeast of the Rockies, it's hell. We didn't mind the heat in Phoenix. A lot of people do. Oh, it's too hot. I'm like, you get used to it. If you can handle it for 1 year, Arizona's fantastic. If you can't, then you need to pop smoke. Let's say some good mornings. You haven't seen the movie Reality Bites, have you, with Ethan Hawke and Winona Ryder?
No,
You're so young.
definitely not.
You're so young.
You got to make a list for me of series and videos I need to go back and watch just so we can get something.
See, that's where Leroy has you beat. Leroy is fantastic at pop culture. And when I want to do a movie reference, you look at me like, what the hell is he talking about? So
listen, I only have so much room in this little Marines pea brain of mine.
That's true. Well, there's a
I only
part.
got so
There's a
many
part
things.
in there. It's like the Mike in the Morning Show. And surprisingly enough, I know that's hilarious, but the guy, it's like Glenn in the morning. Good Morning with Glenn or some shit, and Winona Ryder is essentially, she's the assistant producer of the show, and this guy would every time he starts off, he takes off his glasses, he looks at the camera, he's like, "Good morning," and then all the crowd goes, "Good morning." And it's their little shtick on the morning show, and it's good morning. So he would do this every time. He's trying to look smart. He would take us good morning to the crowd, and they're good morning to him. Anyway, well, she gets pissed off and she gets disenfranchised because she doesn't get a raise. So she does all his cue cards. So she puts in there, "I'm a giant dick," because this guy literally can't do anything unless he reads his cue cards. And he's like, "My penis is flaccid and unused," and
So it's just Joe Biden reading the teleprompter and saying period.
That's it. That's exactly
Great.
right. So it's totally Biden. And in one part of the segment, he just keeps stumbling. He keeps trusting the cards, and she's just crossed everything out and just made them look horrible. And then so he knows that he's said something completely stupid multiple times. He takes off his glasses and he looks at his audience. He's like, "Good morning," and all these old people look back at him like crickets. The most uncomfortable thing in the world. So the whole reference is, we're going to do some good mornings. Amy, good morning.
Oh, see, we also got to do some Good Morning Vietnam. Let's go back to
Good morning, Vietnam.
Robin Williams. I love him.
What a great movie.
May he rest in peace.
Such a good movie. That guy, did you know this isn't, 90 or 89% of all stats are made up on the spot. So I think something like 76% of Robin Williams' skits, and I don't know the percentage, but it is an incredible amount, is most directors would literally just film the guy because they couldn't rein him in. So they just embraced it because of his ad lib capability. It is incredible.
Well, isn't that most or a lot of scenes that are just that good? Well, hello.
I guess.
That most of the time when stuff is ad-libbed
Hey.
and you just allow.
Shut up, Mike. I love the Khaleesi hair this morning. It's very Queen of Dragons.
Ooh.
I'm gonna Drago you later. So, oh, she blushed. She got all red. It's so cute. Oh,
Good pull. Good pull. I love it.
it was well done. Give me a pound. Give me a pound. Thank you. All right, go
Wait,
ahead.
hold on. We got to do the.
Oh yeah.
wrong way.
Shit. We're
Other
so
way.
stupid. I don't know how to do this. I can't. Docking. Lower your tip.
Whatever. It's too far. We're too far gone.
Try it tomorrow. So go ahead. So you were telling your story then before I Dragoed and Mother of All Dragons.
Well, no, it's like there's a lot of really great scenes that are all ad-libbed. You just allow these people that are freaking amazing at what they do, and obviously I love Robin Williams as a comedian. Just let them go, and you're gonna get great scenes out of it, great content. Like,
Was there?
it's gonna be
But is
amazing.
there anybody quite like him? I mean,
No,
seriously.
we're never gonna have another Robin Williams.
I don't think there is another Robin Williams out there. I once was at the fresh fish market in San Diego, California, or Fisherman's Wharf, one of the two. And essentially, if you've been to San Diego, I can't remember which one it is because it's too early in the morning for me without a full pot of coffee in my I have too much blood in my coffee stream. So I think it was the fresh fish market or it's the wharf. It doesn't matter. But we're sitting there and we go in and I'm with this guy. His family is extremely rich. They live on Catalina and Santa Barbara Avenue. Is the boyfriend texting again?
It's something, yeah.
Okay. And as we, they sit there and order their fresh fish, swordfish and halibut. And I'm like, "Do you guys have steak?" And the guy I'm with, his dad's richer than shit. He looks at me like, "Who is this yokel?" And I'm like, I don't eat fish. And it's hilarious. And then I went to Japan, but it's a whole nother story. And as we're sitting there, there's this guy who has his back to us and we could hear his voice. And of course, when you hear something familiar, sometimes it doesn't register. It's the unfamiliar that doesn't register, or that does register, and then you question it. But when it's familiar, you really don't, it's not out of place. So we hear this guy talking and see him from the behind, and he's like, double, and he comes out with a scotch, and, we're sitting there talking a little bit. We order some freaking crab cakes, and then, 3 minutes later, can I get another double, please? And you're like, okay, no big deal. And then you're like, okay, oh, your crab cakes are here. Double, please. And I'm sitting there going, this guy's had like 3 fucking double scotches. And I'm like, what the heck is this? This guy's had basically 6 shots of scotch and, full 2-finger pours. I mean, that would put me under the table, and I can drink.
You have to wheel me out of there.
Right. Well, right, because your body mass you're missing freaking 80 pounds. So I'm like, well, whatever. So it started to twinge, and then, here are your salads and blah, 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 and your chilled forks and you double. And by the time that we got the main entree, this guy was in his 10th double, which is like a 5th. And you're just like, I can't believe, and I swear to God, he stands up and turns to the side. And it wasn't much different than him sitting down, to be honest with you, him standing up. and you see the side profile, just cheeks bright red, and it's Robin fucking Williams. And he hugs some stray whatever, and he sits back down. And, 15, 20 years later, you start to reflect on that after he took his life, and you go, this guy had been suffering from alcoholism, depression for so long. But man, could that guy put away some alcohol? I mean, not only would that have killed me, would have put me under the table. But yeah, that was my one Robin Williams experience, him putting scotch away like, Merle Haggard. It was incredible. So
see, mine's a very different, like I've only met him one time. It was up in New York. And I'm forgetting the foundation. It was one of the fundraisers, and I'm going to think of it here in a minute.
Okay.
But basically they do an event to where they have a bunch of different performers, and just Robin Williams happened to be one of them. But they always bring up a bunch of vets from, at that time, Walter Reed, up for it. And they do like a red carpet for everybody, and like all the stars and whoever would come in. But that was the one that I had, was Robin Williams came in, and he actually did the Good Morning Vietnam for me.
Oh, man.
So it's one of those that just like, it was nice. Like one of the most genuine people that you're going to meet. But yeah, it's definitely.
Wow, your story is a lot better than mine. Here I am making him sound like a raging alcoholic. He wasn't a dick, though. I mean,
he's a great guy.
I mean, he tipped the guy like $300, $400. So I mean, the guy's not a douchebag. I mean, he wasn't a belligerent drunk. He was quiet and reserved, and of course, once he got people there, he talked like he acts, But it wasn't anything over the top. He didn't all of a sudden pop in a genie character, and he's like, hi, I'm going to give you, grant you a wish, and jumping all over the place. He just, you could tell he was somewhat animated, but when he had people near him, it obviously illuminated his soul, and it made him less lonely and introspective. And God, anyone who suffered depression understands how difficult it is. It's crazy. So yeah, it certainly wasn't. It's more of an admirable thing. Like, holy crap, that guy could put away some scotch. Expensive though. Like me, I'll have 2 or 3 glasses, and I'm feeling happy, and I'm like, I'll put that away. And it's a $40, $50 bottle. But can you imagine that poor guy drinking old grouse or Johnny Walker Blue, and $200-$300 a night habit? It's got to get expensive.
Yeah, well, if you do enough movies, you can afford that. But.
Well, right. That's a good point. I mean, that guy, he was incredible. Did you ever see 1 Hour Photo with him?
Nope.
It's the only movie he really played a villain, and he wasn't even a villain. He was kind of that anti-villain, and he essentially worked at a photo booth in like a Walmart, a photo processing center, but he also had this obsessive compulsive fixation on a family, and from the man, the kids, and he kind of lived vicariously through them. And then while processing some of the photos, and he had photos of them at home, he created photo albums for them. He would eat dinner and bring out their picture, really weird shit. And one time he was doing the processing the photos, and he saw the husband submitted photos that ultimately had him with another woman. And he started, like it broke his Ozzie and Harriet feelings. It like just completely unraveled his reality of living through this. And like he felt the pain, like, how could you do this to her? How could you do this to the kids? And you're a better man than this. And then he kind of like took it upon himself that he had to ultimately take this guy out and let his wife know. And then they kind of found out that he's kind of a stalker and a little weird. And then they kind of rallied against him. And it turned into this homicidal type storyline. And you're just like, holy shit. It was so out of character for Robin Williams. You're like, work for work. And it's not anything like that. And he's basically like a Richard Ramirez or a Ted Bundy in this. It's really good. You should watch it. It's a definite polar of, the father figure and the matriarch or the patriarchal type character in Good Will Hunting.
See, because I always go back to Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's fine. Yeah, totally. That's one of his best.
Yeah. So like I think that's probably one of the first times between that and Good Morning Vietnam is probably the first times I actually saw him.
Did you see him? Did you see Good Will Hunting?
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
Okay, you have Michael. Well, listen, there's a lot of things that I expect you to do, but this is one of them.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me write this down.
Good Will Hunting, and then I want you to come back and I want you to write a piece of paper and I want you, how do you like them apples, and hand it over to me because that's a fantastic movie. We got a lot to cover.
Okay.
We got to do it, but I always love our 30-minute warm-ups. Kind of just. Having a conversation, it's always good. So that's what this show, we do it every 30 minutes. And it's the reason why is to build a fan base and get people on. We wound up getting 110, 115 people on. That's what we're looking for. Everyone's on. Let's get to the election. But yeah, Good Will Hunting. If you haven't seen it, Robin Williams, by far his best performance ever, in my opinion. And it's also Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's best performance. It is truly one of my favorite movies of all time. Even though they use the word syncope wrong in it, it doesn't matter. Everything else is good.
Cinco wrong?
Yeah. A man is a syncope, and it's used incorrectly. It's more of an action than an actual physical. This person could be this. Mm-hmm. It's like calling someone a dork or a dipshit, or somebody is simplistic or a simpleton, or trying to think of another word that would fit. It doesn't matter. Just somebody who's completely unconnected from the truth and unconnected from reality. And the way that they use it is incorrect. But you'll listen to Matt Damon in this movie, and I can't begin to tell you what a good study Matt Damon is, because he takes the role of Robin Williams in comedy, of how he can connect sinew and bring things together on tirades of humor. Matt Damon does that with intellect, and he'll walk you down these amazing. I mean, first of all, he's a genius. He's at MIT. He's a janitor, but he also has an IQ that is one of the biggest on the planet. He's one of the smartest men on earth, and he can solve complex algorithms that would take people decades to finish, and he solves them in a single morning event on a chalkboard. And this professor from MIT, we're just going to keep punching movies. I don't care. He's a professor from MIT. He has this problem, and he puts it up on the chalkboard outside. He says, once again, anyone that can solve, he's a very arrogant, plush, posh type guy. And he says, anyone that can solve this problem, I'll give him full credit, full A for the semester, and they don't have to show up to any other classes, right? And he puts it out there because the problem is impossible. And he puts it out on the board, and then the next morning, it's all solved in chalk on the board and completely done. And one of the kids who's in his class runs up to him and he goes, who was it? Who was it? Who saw it? He says, what are you talking about? And he goes, the problem you put up on the board, it's been solved. And he's like, that's impossible. So he goes out there and he looks and he goes, this is right. Who did it? And, he looks at a couple of kids and the guy's like, not me. And he goes, how about you? Not fucking kidding me? No, I couldn't do that work if you paid me $1 million. And he's like, well, there's a mystery somebody. So until we find out who it is, here's another problem that took, 30 Harvard and MIT and Caltech professors 3 years to solve, and puts it up there. If anyone solves this, whatever, next morning it's done. And so this guy becomes obsessed trying to find out who in the fuck is solving these things, because this person is hands down the smartest living person on the planet when it comes to chaos theory, algorithms, math, and etc. and conceptual problem solving. Anyway, lo and behold, it's this kid from South Philly or Boston or wherever he's from. I think he's from Boston. He's from Southie in Boston. And he's a janitor for MIT, and the kid didn't even graduate high school, and it's Matt Damon. And you go through it, and he's also extremely abused family. He's going in and out of foster homes. Dude, it is, I'm telling you, if I haven't sold that movie by now, you got to watch it. It is hands down one of the best feel-good movies. Mimi Driver's in it, Ben Affleck, Robin Williams, Matt Damon. If you haven't watched Good Will Hunting, go watch Good Will Hunting. All right, now we're done.
Cool. All right.
Dude, Mike, don't placate me, Michael. I know when you're like, shut up, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't care. This is what this show does. And if I want to talk about Good Will Hunting, damn it, I will.
You're going to do your thing.
Have you ever seen Full Metal Jacket? No, just kidding.
Full Metal Jacket? I don't know. What could that be about? I'm not sure. That would be my type of entertainment, maybe.
Just go watch Good Will Hunting. You'll love it. He was actually a Marine in the movie, Robin Williams. All right, so go ahead. What did you want to talk about?
Oh, no, just some of the folks in the chat. Patch Adams, also a great movie.
Yeah, that was good. It was
and
good.
Then when you were talking about the Scotch, made someone, Happy G, think of Ron White, 100%. Dude, that's what that guy does.
That guy's great.
He was, I loved him on Blue Collar Comedy Tour, but he got so much better when he was allowed to fully express himself and just be him.
Yes.
Got so much better.
And we're going to talk about Bill Maher today, and he's somebody who got so much better when he left the confines of cable TV, standard ABC, CBS, over the air. When he got his own show, he became much better. I love Politically Incorrect. I grew up with it. Ron White's a great example. Everyone says great movie on Dogma was a great flick. See, you're on my... We're talking now. Now, we got to stop because if we keep doing movies, I will do this all damn day. RV was funny. It was an underrated comedy. It was a little cheese dick, but it had Jeff Daniels in it. It was good. It was a good movie.
Listen, I love a good cheesy movie, so I'm
RV was good. It was what was great about RV was the soundtrack and the sound effects in the movie because he rents this RV and it's kind of a clunker and whatever, but it's also, it makes these sounds, and in the music, it's you got this guy in the background doing this Chevy Chase National Lampoon style music, and it really adds to the overall character of the film.
That's why I remember that, because that's when JoJo was in it, and I was a wee little lad, and she was definitely the looker.
She was cute for sure. Yeah, so RV is a good one. That one's kind of funny. It's very National Lampoon slapstick, completely unrealistic, but still kind of funny. He does take this RV up on some windy trail of, looks like South America, 3 or 10,000 foot, whatever. And, this RV's taking corners. That's like a 45 hairpin on a mountain that has like a 10,000 foot drop. And in there, your balls are in your mouth because you're just like, it's a tense situation. Anyway, good movie. All right. So listen, we appreciate it. Shit.
Why are we here? I don't know. What do we do on this thing again?
It doesn't matter. Nobody's awake. No, I'm kidding. There's a lot of people awake. Let's get to it. We've got a whole bunch to cover. So I wanted to talk about specifically when it comes to this is the election itself. And I'm going to try to see if I can get our video correct here. So I got to bring this in and I got to make another one of these. Sorry, Mike, you're going to be big for a second. And
that's okay.
Put you over there. And then, no, let's put you right. Now I'll put you right there. All right. And I forgot to make this one window. I apologize. There's Mike. And then, who is here at 8:41 a.m.?
I say that's a little early for people.
Someone's going to get. See, this is when I grab the gun and lock and load. There's somebody here with a PlayStation. What the?
Oh, is that for Ethan?
No. Hold on. Hey, gang. Ethan, you got everything okay? Ethan! Hold on, everybody. My son he's going hiking this morning.
Ooh.
Come on in, son. Ethan.
Where's he going hiking?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Hey, buddy. You going hiking?
Yes.
What's all this?
Una bought shoes that Hayden and Mom could wear because Una said that Mom could have them.
All right. Love you. Go have fun. Have a good day. Hey, be safe. Okay. Hey, wear good shoes, strong shoes. If you have boots, wear those. Close the door for me, son. All right. Once again, we're all about family. Let's go ahead and watch this. Let me put this in the back here. So this is this morning on Fox and Friends, and this one had some interesting stuff on here in regards to overall state elections. Let's listen to this. We'll add some commentary throughout while we listen. As soon as we get sound.
Okay, that actually does look good.
Yeah.
You need help with that? So many people here today. I've actually had to help them out in the kitchen.
Did you know it's Peter Ducey's dad?
Yeah.
Oh, you did right there.
Well, I didn't know it until I think they were on the show together, and he started making references like, "Hey, son."
Yeah.
Always have it.
He's
done
kind of
this blah, blah, blah.
Magoo. I'm just saying. He's just a little bit.
Saving the bacon for me.
Hey, everybody! I grew some parsley in my garden, and here it is. And we've got 17 recipes to bring you this morning with parsley. We're gonna do it together.
We just needed a talking horse with them, and we'll be good to go.
And I'm gonna wear my sweater vest the entire time we do it and roll up my sleeves.
Did you pause this perfectly? Oh,
I did.
defund the media little shirt right there. That was a perfect frame.
I need to make that shirt.
Yes.
By the way, I've got my Yippee-Ki-Yay Die Hard shirt on that you didn't say anything about with Nakatomi Plaza. Did you see my Christmas shirt there, Michael?
Oh, we're gonna go back to this Christmas thing.
Yeah, but just quickly. And did you see the look at the left shoulder?
Oh, look at that.
It's got the 9mm Beretta on the back. You can get this shirt at thedumbshow.com. It's got, ho, 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 yippee-ki-yay, mother. Okay, let's listen to Peter.
Fox and Friends live.
Peter's dad. What's his name?
Camera guy.
I don't know. Douchey's dad.
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is, but I'm taking his picture. Hey, I've got news for you. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and it's Election Day 2023 in some states, including here in Virginia, where the polls have been open for about 2 hours. I am live at the Jukebox Diner
Steve.
in
That's his
Manassas,
name,
and we're going to be
Steve.
talking with Governor Glenn Youngkin in just a little bit because his bus pulled up to the diner, and of course, it's all about flipping the power balance in the assembly. They would like to hold the House
And flip the Senate. Set it and forget it, Ronco.
like I
In
said.
Virginia, the bacon looks good. Virginia is one of at least 37 states casting
Surprised they don't have
ballots
some
today
moonshine in that diner.
state
Yeah,
and
do
local-
you realize that how hard it is to find properly cooked bacon? Seriously.
Are you a crispy guy, or do you want it a little more soft and
See, it
soggy?
depends. If it's soft, it's got to be soft, and if it's crispy, it's got to be crispy. I don't like I don't like people who are indecisive. I don't like a piece of bacon that's somewhat crispy and then half of it's not. Either you got to go soft, but I prefer a little bit crispier than normal. I just want it properly cooked, right? I just want it right down the middle, not too hard, not too soft, like everybody.
Is that? No, I'm not going there.
Don't you should?
Is that,
you
I'm
should.
not going there.
Is that a Navy thing? Yeah, whatever. Shut up.
37 states ca-
At least we don't eat our shoes, okay? Consider that bacon.
Listen, if it tastes good, it tastes good.
That's right.
And polls are also open now in Mississippi and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, and Kentucky.
And you know what? I'd like to find out more.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to go out to Alexandria Hopp. She is live in South Riding, Virginia, with a closer look at today's big races. Alex.
See, you know,
Alex
it's-
is pretty.
Yeah, you know it's big in Virginia when they actually send two reporters to do two different locations.
What, Alex? Alex? All I know is Alex just showed up, and I really don't give a fuck about anything
It's
else.
like something happened. There's a lady.
That's my type of woman right there. Seriously, I'm just saying. She's got that Olivia look, brown hair, dark eyes. Yeah, that's. Let's go ahead and listen to what she has to say, and just ignore everyone else.
Closer look at today's big races. Alex.
Well, good morning to you. Yeah, Virginia once again becomes a proving ground today. With these off-year elections, they can serve as proof for
Alexandria's got it on, not Hoff. Sorry.
Oh, jeez. Nice.
proof for how voter sentiment really is, not just
Thank
here
you.
in Virginia, but around the country. Today, Governor Glenn Youngkin, he is not on the ballot, but his agenda is. And today, 140 of Virginia's General Assembly seats, they are up for the taking. Republicans control the House.
So here's, okay, we got the crickets, knock it off. So balance of power, General Assembly. So 46 Democrats, 48 Republicans, overall 6 vacancies. That's a pretty tall order for Democrats to go ahead and take over the House, being that there's only 6 vacancies, 2 seats behind. So you're talking, they got to make up 2, and they would have to have 3 to have majority, and that would be the Republicans not holding 3 of those seats. Republicans have a good chance to play spoiler and hold on to the House here. Bellwether will tell us when we get some exit polls where we're going to be at. I don't anticipate the House flipping. I imagine it staying under Republican power. Virginia's doing very, very well right now in regards to economy, unemployment. Youngkin is going after more of the woke culture out here, and he's doing a fairly good job. So I don't see the House. Now, abortion could play a role in this, but I think a lot of that abortion push is going to go for the Senate. I think the Democrats are trying to hit the Senate more. They're not going to hit the purse strings, so they'll hit the overall veto legislation and kicking it back down to the House. And not veto power like president, but that it stops with the senator. The Senate's most bills have to go through there in order to be signed by the governor. So they kind of have that kickback and push it back down to the House and not sign through legislation. And that would stop any of this abortion ban thing. The interesting thing is that Democrats are going to be on the record in this election today in regards to abortion, because the right to life bill that the Republicans are pushing through is very much common sense legislation on abortion. The big 3, we've talked about it before, Mike, incest, rape, and also life of mother. But putting a 15-week moratorium on abortion and anything after that would be considered illegal or against the law. It sets a very big tone. And Democrats have rejected this bill for the last 10 years. And it's something that's been on the floor. It's been voted on. It keeps getting pushed back because Democrats want unfettered access and believe that the right to this access of abortion is health care, which is completely moronic to what it actually is.
Man,
So
I got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
So in the sense of Virginia being used as a precursor to the elections next year for the president,
Yeah.
what is actually considered a win for the Democrats? And then what would be the win that they're going to use for the tidal wave of pushing forward to try to flip the presidency for the Republicans? Like what does that actually look like?
I'll be honest with you, them losing Virginia is actually probably better for Democrats because winning it isn't necessarily, I believe, in the cards. I think it's going to send a clear message that America, we are in a fight for our life. But this is the battleground state for guns and abortion. Don't kid yourself. 2 of the largest party split topics in politics today is the Second Amendment being fought here. David Hogg was out here, several gun legislation pro, slaughter the Second Amendment, break it down, no semi-automatic weapons, AR-15s or weapons of war type people have been out here lobbying. NRA has put a lot of money into Virginia, even though the NRA isn't as prominent as it once was. And then, of course, Planned Parenthood, the now activists, the female activists have also been out here. A win for Democrats is to gain seats in the House, if not do a split, and then go ahead and see if they can take the Senate. That would the best win is taking the House and the Senate, obviously. But I think if they lose and at least they gain a couple seats, that would also be considered a win, because I believe it will scare people into seeing that it's not going like Ohio. It's not a lockstep state like New York or California, that Virginia, a once very blue, somewhat purple state, is red. If that trend continues, I think that looks very good for Trump. And then if you look at the swing state polls that we've seen and where people's stance really aren't around abortion, but these are very big talking points at the local level, but not at the federal level, this will also trump up Democrats to kind of rally around the leader and consider Virginia a bellwether for the rest of the union. So
here's another follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know, yes, that Virginia is purple, maybe starting to lean a little red.
Yeah.
But to me, it seemed like that happened on off years for like non-presidential years.
Yeah.
So is that a trend to where Republicans have a better chance when it's not also you're going to vote for the president and Democrats just really don't care about it?
Yeah.
Or is it truly Virginia starting to go red? Because all I see is all these people from D.C. continue to move out and coming out to where we live in a more rural area. Of course, then they're complaining about, the farm out here smells and all the cows. Like, well, you moved next to a farm. What do you expect?
No shit.
This is the
Actually,
culture that
there
you
is
move
shit.
into. There's a lot. It happens. But, like, there's animals. This is where our food comes from. Like, this is how it goes. But to me, it seems like there's a lot more a migration coming out. And granted, some of it is the folks from Arlington, so they're already coming from Virginia, moving further out of the city. But yeah, is it the off years where Republicans do well in Virginia, or is it just a slow trend?
Well, inherently, we haven't done well in Virginia at all, because if you look in 2016, you look at 2018, we didn't even have Republicans run. So they were uncontested elections. So that's number one. Youngkin is the first true Republican to go after the governorship. But you also look at people like Brandon Michon and now Hung Cao, who had a failed district run out here in 2022, is now running for Senate. Hung Cao, he's EOD, United States Navy, but he's running for Senate. So you're starting seeing a lot more of prominent Republicans. Republicans have put a lot of money in here. Kevin McCarthy's been out here. Ollie North has been out here shaking hands, kissing babies. So Virginia is very much...
well, doesn't Ollie North live out here?
Yeah, he lives right next to us. Like, we could throw a rock at him from here. Yeah. So, yeah, Colonel Oliver North lives right down the street. So, well, I'm not going to go into detail because his anonymity is probably as important as my own, and I care about it. But, yeah, he lives in our town. So it comes down to this, is Virginia most assuredly is used to be dictated by Ashburn, Loudoun County, Fairfax, Annapolis, Arlington, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, those were the indicators of where Virginia would go. But something has changed. The rural counties have showed up to vote. We saw an increase with Virginia when it came to guns, when it came to parents, when it came to abortion, when it came to overall economy, immigration. I consider, in my opinion, Virginia will stay red because of the immigration issue. We have people, we might as well be a border state. They are shipping Afghani immigrants here, illegal immigrants here. We see them all the time coming to Dulles. It's an epidemic here, and we have a lot of illegal immigration problems. Also, we're seeing fentanyl issues with that illegal immigration. I think Youngkin has set the tone that he is not going to allow these things to happen. He's going to stand up against these things. I think that trickles down into the House and the Senate, and I would love to see him maintain on the House and the Senate, flip the state red, and it would really set up for a big upset in 2024. I still don't believe that Virginia is ready to vote for Trump. I'm just going to let you know. I don't think Trump can win Virginia unless the problems here are continually knocked down by Youngkin. He doesn't enter the race. That's an important thing, too, because that might be a possibility. If Donald Trump's legal woes happen, I think DeSantis has done too much damage to himself. I think Youngkin can come in and get the Republican nomination and still beat Biden. So there's a lot of things at play here. Virginia's this is very much a Georgia decider in this election. Georgia will still probably decide the election in 2024, but Virginia is definitely going to have the weight of a Florida, of an Ohio, maybe not in electoral votes, but overall how the rest of the East goes, especially eastern seaboard and southern east side of the country. And also if Republicans can bleed up into the northeastern parts, which is predominantly a Democrat stronghold. So lots of answers there to a question that was pretty simple.
So, and I guess like one other thing I always kind of go back to is the school board issues that, and I forget if it was last year or the year before, when it actually broke of what Loudoun County was doing and suppressing a bunch of the stories for the raves that were happening. But yet the election after that, to me, it was kind of telling that the Democrats still held the seat out here.
Right.
So and this is where I always go back to: are there just enough never Trumpers and then the never Bidens that like? Is it truly going to matter for Virginia, or are people just so polarized that these issues that Youngkins are slowly starting to tackle? One, is there enough time to actually fix it to where people can see, yes, we're making strides, we're getting it better? Or are they just so like, nope, I will never vote for that man, I can never do it?
I think that's the answer. Yeah, because listen, Virginia was in 3 minutes in 2020. 3 minutes is what it took. It was the first state to call. I was thinking Virginia would have went to at least 9:30. It wasn't even close. The amount of mail-in ballots they got from the military, Alexandria came in, and it just, Fairfax came in, and it was it. I mean, Ashburn, Fairfax, Virginia Beach, Norfolk came in, and it took the entire state. They called it blue with less than 3% of the vote in. They just knew it. It's just no way. Trump, it's over. They called Virginia, and I was shocked. Like, in 2020, I'm like, whoa, that was way fast to call Virginia. And the whole thing is they got their mail-in ballots called in first. So they knew kind of where they were on election day with the exit polls. People are polarized against Trump here. There's not a lot of love lost for Biden. The immigration issue is huge for Virginians. And the education bills that have gone through and the whole CRT, this is where the movement of transitioning and transgender bathrooms and some of the publications that we've seen about sexualization of children all happen right here in Virginia, all happen in our district. In Loudoun County and Fairfax is where all this stuff takes place. We are ground zero for this woke national debate that's been taking place. A lot of people don't know that. So the whole reason Youngkin won is he got the military vote, enough of it to make a difference. He got the parents with kids in school vote. He got the moms vote, and he got the gun enthusiasts as well. We're going to have to see the illegal immigration impact go front and center in Virginia, and if that happens, I think it will stay red across the board. That's the trend I anticipate. I don't think off years have anything to do with it. I think Donald Trump's a polarizing candidate, and if Glenn Youngkin gets in this race, he most assuredly will win Virginia. Biden will absolutely lose Virginia on the electoral map, and I think Glenn Youngkin has a very good possibility of running if Donald Trump's legal woes get him in a state where he can't run.
But I guess I know Youngkin, he's already posturing himself to do a candidacy for president. But will he do it this year, or will he allow things to play out to set himself up better for 28?
I think it depends. If Biden stays in the race and Donald Trump can't, then Glenn Youngkin most assuredly will enter and, in my opinion, win decisively. I believe Glenn Youngkin is the only candidate that can enter the race with 6 to 8 months to go and still win the national election. I don't think there's any other candidate that can. He has a magnetic pull that one visit to a state and county will sell that county. He's that good.
Yep.
I mean, this guy is. I followed him on the campaign trail. I went to plenty of his events. I stumped for the guy, and I truly believe he is the future of this party. He is the Kennedy for the Republicans. He has that look. He's got that ability. He's got that affability. He looks like he could be on a tractor or he could be in a CEO boardroom.
Yep.
And you just don't get that in a candidate. He's got everything that is credible. And people are like, oh, look at his money. Look at it. Fuck all you people. You're Trump loyalists to a fault. You guys are so in love with Trump, no one will ever be good enough. So let's just get it over with, Let's just get it over with. Why don't you just go ahead and sleep with him and just let us all off the hook? Because Trump is amazing. Trump is great. I get it. I want to see him. I want to see him in 2024. But guess what? He's not going to run in 2028. He's not going to run in 2032. He's done after this. That's it. He'll play behind the scenes and he'll pull the strings. But there's no such thing as a Trump presidency after this. This is it. If he doesn't win now, he's never going to run again. We better start looking towards the future. And if we keep destroying every candidate of the future, our party is going to go in the toilet. Glenn Youngkin is the future of this party. People like Ron DeSantis are the future of this party. And whether you love them or hate them, that's up to you to start voting in strong candidates that can really move us forward. Byron Donalds is an example. You may not like Nikki Haley, but I'll tell you what, she's still in this race. Yep. This isn't over for her. She's going to make a great vice president for somebody, hopefully.
Yeah, vice president, secretary of state, like she's going to get in something.
Yeah, and she needs to be in. She needs to be in. She's fantastic. She said some things that I don't like, but if you're a one issue candidate, you're looking at the wrong thing, because there's things that Donald Trump has said that I don't like. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can't just look at one thing and say, "Oh, I disagree. Well, that candidate's no longer good." That's what people did with DeSantis. That's what people have done with Nikki Haley. That's what they've done with other people. You've got to understand is that if you're looking to not be disappointed in a candidate, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. Okay. Anyway, Glenn Youngkin's a great opportunity. So the question is, could Glenn Youngkin come into this race? It depends. If Donald Trump can't run because of legal problems and the RNC comes to him and taps him on the shoulder, which I don't foresee it happening, then Glenn Youngkin most assuredly will take the baton. If they go to Joe Biden for health reasons or overall just say there's no chance you're going to win, they're going to tap on Newsom, and you'll see either Youngkin or Newsom in the race, or both, because both situations are possible. Mm-hmm. Both of them are sitting in the wings waiting, and they are being set up for 2028. I would expect both of them to be extremely bullish during the RNC. I don't know if Youngkin is going to give a full-throated defense of Trump, because he distanced himself from Trump in 2022.
I was just going to ask that. Of Trump goes forward next year as the nominee, what does Youngkin do? Does he go full tilt in with him?
He'll have to. Mm-hmm. If you want to get those supporters. But Youngkin is magnanimous enough and smart enough that he can support Trump without crossing that line and getting the Never Trumpers to hate him, mm-hmm. but also getting the Trumpers to completely love him. He's just that guy where people will say, I'll vote for him because he's not Ron DeSantis. I'll vote mm-hmm. for him because he's not Trump. And that's good enough. But those people don't matter, because truly the electorate, the 90% who aren't ultra left or ultra right, will vote for him, including mm-hmm. Democrats. Glenn Youngkin is a fantastic candidate. Everyone goes, well, what about Noem, and what about these people? No, none of them hold a candle to Youngkin. Youngkin is the future of the party, and he's got what it takes to win, and not only win, but do an 8-year stint, and then his VP, if it is someone like Haley, another 8 years. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that Nikki Haley would make a wonderful vice president.
So we can actually have a real woman vice president?
That's my point, is you don't have a Kamala. You don't have a Hillary. Mm-hmm. They're relatable. And although Nikki Haley, her foreign policy when it comes to war, she's a little too war hawkish, I think she's trying to do that to look tough, because mm-hmm. that's the thing. If she looks meek, they go, oh, well, she's a woman. She won't have the guts to stand up. And then so she's overcompensating. That feedback, she's gotten it. She's dialed that back. But understand, just because she says something doesn't necessarily mean she believes it. That's what politics is all about.
Yep. So how much stuff do politicians say that when they actually push comes to shove? Do they actually do it? No. They say what they have to get in, and then they're going to do whatever they want to at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but people are like, I'm a Trump loyalist. Yeah, but what's next?
Yeah.
Then what? If nobody else is possible, then who are you going to vote for in 2028? Right? What happens if the worst happens with Trump's cases and they move a 14th Amendment move to remove him from the ballot? And what are we going to do? Who are you going to vote for? So there's a difference between, see, I'm not a Trump loyalist. See, I don't swear fealty to a man. What is this, a monarchy? What is this, England? When, as Americans, have we decided that swearing fealty to a man has ever brought prosperity to the individual? And the individual rights of all of us is paramount on not only the liberty that's bestowed upon us, but recognizing that it's not inherent within a man.
Oh, man. Now we got a Carrie Lake as our 2028.
First of all, if you can't even spell Carrie Lake correctly, you probably shouldn't be putting her up for 2028, right? And I don't mean to be rude, but it means that you haven't done the research on Carrie Lake to truly understand who she is and who she isn't.
Well,
she's extremely unpopular with women.
Yeah, and she's also a news reporter out of Arizona that then wanted to get into politics. We're like, it's great. I realize, yes, there's people needing to jump in the race, but I want someone who understands either how to run a business, that foreign policy aspect, or understands how to bring the country together.
Yeah.
That doesn't come from the mainstream media. Because obviously she's extremely skewed to the right. That doesn't mean that's actually good for what this country needs.
Yeah.
That's why, and also, like, I do like Youngkin because he has that charisma, but he also can do it in such a way he doesn't polarize everybody. He knows how to get people behind him, get people excited, but he's not going at someone's throat being like, you're on the other side, so this is all the reasons why you're wrong. It's like, hey, this is what we can do to bring all of us together to get that prosperity back. And you just got people like Lake that you just want to go out and attack everyone, and it's like that. It's not going to bring people to what you want. And obviously, like with everything that happened with the court cases, and it's like you just dug yourself such a deep hole that you're done at that point. You might as well find something else to do.
Listen, I there's some things that I look for in my candidate. One of them is that they can admit that they lost, and the second thing is that they're self-aware enough to know that if they can't win a governorship, they're certainly not going to win the presidency. Do you understand what I'm saying? If she can't win governor of Arizona in a predominantly Republican state, then you can't expect her to gain national favor. Kari Lake is a good human being in her heart. I believe that. I believe Kari Lake is somebody who I would have a conversation with and enjoy the conversation. I think she's a sore loser. I think that she is doing a disservice to something that she says is provable that isn't. I was talking about this 3 weeks. Everybody who's watched my show knew that I was the only conservative who predicted Kari Lake would lose Arizona. And I told it to you by numbers and statistics. And I told you why. That if you don't win Maricopa County, you're not going to win Arizona. Mm-hmm. And that is the truth. And, you know, I've been doing this shit for 30, 40 years. I've loved politics my whole life. And I knew she wasn't going to win. And I called it. When Charlie Kirk was screaming at you that there was a way she was going to win, when the Blaze was telling you and Glenn Beck told you she was going to win, when Crowder told you she was going to win, I told you vehemently that there was no chance, that there was no way. And people called me crazy, and I'm an anti-Trumper, and I'm a Kari Lake, and I'm a rhino. Well, guess what? I was right. You weren't. And I will stick to it again. Kari Lake cannot win a national election. She is unpopular. And she does not have the wherewithal to be successful. If she can't, she should have come out and said, you know what? I wish my candidate the best, Katie Hobbs. It was a good race. We lost. We're going to move on, and we're going to do bigger and better things. That would have spoken volumes. Instead, she's been petulant. She has grifted her way into raising a ton of money from people who don't have enough to give. And in my opinion, that is a shitty thing to do. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and growing up in Arizona, I knew that there was a big shift when Joe Arpaio, he was the Maricopa County Sheriff, when of course, he had all those legal issues, but like once he was actually voted out, that's when I knew there was a big shift because he was there for 15 plus years.
Oh yeah, the Tent City stuff,
yes.
It was huge.
I loved all the stuff he did. It's like, hey, if our soldiers can go over to Iraq and Afghanistan and live in tents, these prisoners can do the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, once that happened and the shift in Arizona, if you don't win Maricopa, the rest of the state just does not matter because that Phoenix conglomerate of everything they have, like if you can't win that, you're done.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go against immigration and more, I guess, civil rights type issues, like you're going to have a problem in Phoenix because that's what they care about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely changing times. It's very different there from when I grew up, but I mean, it's probably been the last 10 years that it's changed enough that
I saw Eli Crane win District 1. We had him on the show. Everyone said he wouldn't win. And the reason why Eli won is because even though he struggles with the election results, he struggles with J6ers, he didn't talk about that and make it about his election. He made employment. He made the border. He made security. He made defense his focus and veteran care. He did it on my show. He's a great guy. I still love him. He throws me things once in a while, and he's a great man. And he won. Like I say, to the election deniers, most of the people who deny the election won their bids. And you can't sit here and say that you challenged the election results, but you won. Then you need to surrender your seat. If it was rigged and it was fake, well, then Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and the rest of them that say it was the election was stolen, how did you win your race? Oh, our races were legit because we won. You're a sore fucking loser. You're just as bad as the Democrats. I'm sick of this narrative. I'm tired of it. We're making ourselves look like them. And that was the one thing we hated in 2016. Not my president. Trump's not my president. Okay, well, who are we when we do the exact same thing in 2020? No matter how you feel about Biden, and I don't like the man, I'm not sitting here and going to say not my president, because he is my president and he's yours too. Whether you like it or not, you're an American. Okay? You're an American.
See, and this just goes back to having that integrity.
That's right.
Of, guess what? We're not going to win every battle.
We lost. Suck it up.
So you take your licks, you learn from it, you figure out what you can do better, and then we can move forward as a country. But if all you want to do is play this victim bullshit, this is where we're just gonna keep spiraling down until eventually it gets so bad they're like, hey, we have to do something.
Yeah.
So guess what? Buck up, figure it out next time.
That's right.
And we'll move on from there.
That's it. That's it. Stop complaining. Listen, if you're not voting today, you're the problem. If you're not getting out and your state has local and city elections, it's your responsibility to vote. And if you're not voting right now, then you don't get to complain. That's the problem. I hear about that way too much. It's rigged. It's certainly rigged if you don't go and vote. Every year we get an opportunity to overthrow our government, and we don't have to fire one shot in anger. If you're not voting, then you are the problem. I told y'all with Georgia, when you guys stomped your feet and Donald Trump came out and he talked about 2020 and the stolen election, and I said, you guys are not keeping your eye on the prize. We lost the presidential election. You're going to lose the Senate. If you do not ensure that you get out and vote in Georgia, what did they do? They stayed home. 6.5% of the Republican vote did not show up that showed up on the night of 2020. And that is why we lost 2 Senate seats. And guess what? The whole thing that you saw in the Senate and all the bills that were shot down and the lame duck Congress that we had was because you stomped your feet and held your breath and didn't get out and vote in Georgia. Don't make this same mistake. Get your ass out and go vote. You don't have a voice unless you vote. And you can sit here and play games all you want and say, well, the presidential election doesn't matter. Guess what? You're right. If you're not in a swing state, it probably doesn't matter. But everything else does. From city tax code to propositions to who is on city council to the fucking dog catcher. You get to decide that today. Get out and vote. Trump, great. What happens after Trump? See, I'm sorry, folks. We always talk about Donald Trump and say we love him because he plays 4D chess. Then why do the people who follow him play checkers?
See, this is the problem. No one ever plays the long game. All we can see is what's right in front of us that's like, oh, hey, this is what's going to happen next year. I'm like, okay, great. Well, if we would have thought about this in 2016 and try to set ourselves up, we'd be in a much better place now.
Yeah.
But you've got to look 5, 10, or 25 years down the road of what do we have to do now to get in a better place. And like, listen, I'm not a fan of China, but like their Silk Road initiative, that's why they've been able to continue to start dominating in the world, because they have their one thought and their drive in order to get to what they want out of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I don't agree with any of it, but this is the problem to where the United States will do our swing pretty much every 2 years of Democrat, Republicans, and we can't actually stay on any path and actually get anything done. That every time, like, okay, we're getting some new pipelines, and then the Democrats come in and cancel everything. It's like, well, we can't actually invest in anything because every time we switch, everyone has a different agenda that we can't actually get somewhere that makes sense, that it will allow us to be prosperous and get back where we need to on the world stage so we can maintain being a superpower. Because let's face it, if we lose that status and we are no longer it, we're in for a world of hurt. And I don't think people realize how good we have had it and how good it is in the United States. And when that wanes, we're going to get punched in the face.
That's right.
And people are not ready for that.
Western culture and Western philosophy has molded the world. And whether you want to understand that or not, since 1840, the United States has been the cultural and economic leader of the world. And saw a lot of this happen post 1920, but the revolution and the American Revolution set the tone for power to the people, and that it's possible to overthrow and change tyrannical government. And we have forgotten those lessons. This is very reminiscent of the pharaohs and the Egyptian slaves, and taking away writing and taking away the ability to read and catalog history was the way that they could suppress the voices of the people. And it ultimately put millions into slavery. And the Persians and the Egyptians took advantage of this, of the people. And you saw it in Morocco, and you saw it all over the Middle East. The United States is in that position. We are some of the lowest STEM numbers in the world as far as civilized countries, as far as reading, writing, arithmetic. We have more illiteracy in this country than any other when it comes to a civilized country. They are taking away our ability to process and disseminate and to logically deduce reality with these far-fetched, manufactured, made-up alternative realities that somehow are supposed to make us feel better. And hard lessons are a thing of the past, and soft nurturing is preferred. And when you get that, not only do you get an impotent nation, you get a dumb nation. And I'm not talking D-U-M. You throw the B on the end of that. And an ill-informed constituency is when you get people voting down ticket because it's easy, versus truly understanding the substance of what you're voting for and asking yourself, am I informed? Am I walking in here prepared? Would I ever take a test without studying? Would I go do my driver's test without ensuring that I understand the rules? But yet we go and vote and put our name on something and sign it in blood when we have no idea what we're signing. Would we ever sign to buy a house and sign the papers without at least reading the bottom line and finding out what the interest rate is and how many years I'm signing up my life for? And whether, no, you wouldn't. Would you ever go fire a weapon without understanding the capability of that weapon? Would you ever try to take apart an engine block without understanding the electronic components and the hydraulics and understanding the fuel lines and understanding the cooling system before you started taking part? No, you would educate yourself. Then why would you vote without knowing what you're doing? And if you're the person that goes and votes without educating yourself, do me a favor and stay the fuck home.
Well, see, and this is the problem where people are so fixated on what they see on social media.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, well, I saw that on TikTok. It's 100%, it must be real. Like, no, it's either AI, it's someone who's spliced together a bunch of videos in order to push out whatever narrative they want, and that's all they know, when most of these videos are a bunch of BS anyway.
Right.
To where I would love if we could get back to where, yes, you can actually understand what you're voting for, but even then, like, half these candidates, they can put on a face, whoever gets out the most and has the best best commercials, like, okay, I'll just vote for him because that sounds good. It's like, no, what do you actually believe?
That's right.
What are you going to do that's actually going to make wherever you're representing better? What are you going to bring in that's going to change the course of what's happening right now? Obviously, everyone wants to go towards taxes and abortion and all that, but it's like, what are you going to do at the grassroots level? Because guess what? One person, like, you need the entire Senate, or you need a majority of them to actually move this needle. One person coming and saying, hey, I want to change this, doesn't mean anything. You got to get enough people behind you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
to me, it's always like, I think we're going to have a big issue for the next 20 or 30 years before people realize what you see on TikTok and Instagram is not real.
Can I make a comment?
Yep.
Darren Dabbs makes a comment and goes, SFC, so you are a Biden chump. Why is it a binary choice? Is it possible to not like Trump and also not like Biden and not be a chump? Because I'll be honest with you, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I voted fairly much down ticket with Republicans. A few of the overall propositions in California worked a little bit differently. And, certain funding for parks and things, were Republican initiatives, and I voted against them. Anytime they want to spend more money, I say no.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If the public needs it, then the private sector will take care of it. Every time they want to spend more money on roads and shit, no. But Hillary Clinton was a progressive war hawk and had more moderate Republican leanings than she did Democrat, surprisingly enough. And Trump voted Democrat most of his life, minus with Reagan. Donated money to Hillary Clinton, donated money to Bill Clinton. I didn't know what to believe. And I literally thought that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump as our selections as the best people in America was a fucking joke.
100%.
Now, once he released his SCOTUS picks, once he stood in line with Christian conservatives and commit to pro-life, I started, wait a second, what am I hearing here? When I heard he wanted to put tariffs on China, I'm like, that's not a capitalist viewpoint. What the hell? So, and then I heard his take on USMCA, and I'm like, whoa. And I think what really sold it for me with Donald Trump was overall what he wanted to do for veterans, but specifically take the gloves off and allow the generals to make the decisions on the caliphate and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And I said, okay, I'm sold on Donald Trump. But by that time, it was too late for me. And I jumped on the Trump bandwagon about 3.5 months, 4 months in. And it's not that I didn't like him, because he was very much a better choice than Hillary Clinton. I was in California, and it was more of a protest vote for me. It's like, I cannot put my name on either candidate. Why? Does that mean I'm a chump? Because I will go ahead and wax intellects with anybody in chat right now who wants to come on and argue their points. Bring it on. And at the end of it, if you're going to tell me that we're going to go ahead and look at the chumpo-meter and you're not going to be all the way to the left in the red and I'm going to be in the green, I'll bet you.
See, this is the exact thing right here. Everyone is so polarized. It's like, oh, you have to be one or the other.
Right.
I'm like, why can't we disagree on certain things?
Right.
But mostly agree with a candidate like, okay, 60% I agree with them, but guess what? The other one,
right?
80% I disagree on that. So I obviously know where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Why can't we get back to a point where we can actually have these conversations and not just be like, oh, you don't like one thing about Trump, so you must be a Biden guy.
That's crazy. It's crazy. And SFC, I know you were talking to SFC. Our Darren, I know you were talking to SFC. That's what I was pointing out. And I'm not picking on you. Listen, if you want to call SFC a chump, that's fine. But make sure you know his stance, because he just replied, wait a second, I would never vote for Biden. I just am not going to vote for Trump. That doesn't make him a chump. It doesn't need to be a binary choice. I have challenged Donald Trump quite a bit over the last 2.5 years because I believe he's done more harm than good to himself. But I will also say that the 3.5 years of his presidency, hands down, were the best in anyone's lives on this show who's listening right now.
Yes.
Donald Trump's policies were fantastic. Our economy was better. World platform geopolitically was better. Overall border security was better. Trade. We saw an overall surplus in our growth. Yes, he put a lot to the national debt, but he also took more in, which is something that the Democrats failed to say. Recognized Jerusalem. We understand that. Created peace in the Middle East at 3 treaties. Went and put anti-Israel defamation and Jew defamation inside Florida. We can talk about what he did for veterans. We can talk about overall growth rate. We can talk about overall salaries and wages. We can talk about reduction in overall cost of building a home, inflation, gas prices, energy security. Holy shit, I can go all day.
Matt, one thing I need you to understand your topics a little bit better. Maybe research them a little bit more, because I don't know if you're fully there yet.
I don't think so.
No.
The whole point is we can do this for days. But Donald Trump, for the last 2.5 years, has been a complete asshole. I'm sorry. He's been playing a clown. And he has a choice now. He has to face these legal battles, and his message on how he is going to tackle. Everyone isn't going to remember 2016 and 20. They're going to remember their lives were better, but people only remember the most recent things. Here's how I know, okay? Let me give you a real life example, okay? Let me give you a real life. Yeah. If it comes to Biden and Trump, but why does it have to be a binary choice? Why does it have to be that? Of course, if it's between Biden and Trump, you choose Trump. But is that really an option? It's kind of like when we talk about free will with God. God says we all have free will, but we have a choice. And the choice is burn in a lake of eternal damnation or accept God unequivocally into your heart and soul. Well, that's not really a choice, is it? What if I could have, you know what? You may not be able to go to paradise, but you're not going to be tortured for eternity in a lake of fire. But we're going to go ahead and put you in Arizona. Okay, well, that's a choice.
Yep.
But when you go ahead and the opposite is total destruction and annihilation of your soul and your overall being and the absence of God for eternity, that's not a choice, man. So when you say Trump or Biden, that's not a choice. Why would we ever make it a binary choice for a multifaceted situation? The complexity of our country and the complexity of our government can't be a myopic choice and a singular event because it is a multifaceted institution that requires multiple solutions to address it. So giving a binary choice for president, it always amazes me when people every 4 years, somehow magically, some unknown fuck becomes the savior of all of us. And we bow down and take a knee to one person and say, this is the singular event that will save all of us. How many times are you going to do this? The president of the United States is not going to make your life better. The only thing that will is your state, local, municipality, and township voting. Get out today and vote. Stop worrying about 2024. We'll worry about that later. Right now, focus on making sure that your state legislature and your senators have your vote. And those are the people who are going to represent their constituents and the individual liberty of this sovereignty. And if you don't, you're making a mistake. If you protest the vote today, you're making a mistake. This isn't Trump versus Biden. That battle is a year away. Today, it's about who is going to make the decisions in your state for how your vote goes, how the voting law is shaped over the next year. These decisions, the legislature, if you believe that red takes over and that they are going to change the voting laws for the better, then you need to vote red. If you believe blue is going to continue with the grab-ass changing of electoral law that they have done over the last freaking 20 years by taking the ability of people to vote effectively, by allowing people who have no interest to vote or no right to vote to subvert your voice, you're making a mistake.
See, for me, and at least for the county that we're in, for me, it always goes back to the schools. What do you want your kids to be learning?
That's right.
This is where you go back. What indoctrination? Because that's what everything's getting right now. They're getting indoctrinated to leftist ideologies. This is the time that you can actually start pulling that back. And obviously, it's going to take years to do a course correct on this. But if you don't start now, it's very hard to continue to pull that back and get it in such a way that it's not going to be for the kids that are currently in school, or at least in high school. It's going to be for the kids that are in that middle school and elementary school that are going to be coming up into these classrooms. If you don't like what's happening, you have to get out with your voice and change it now. But if you don't, this is going to continue and it's only going to get worse, and we're not going to like where this is at in 5 or 10 years. So this is the time to get out and shape the next generation so that way when we get older, we actually can have some faith in where this country is going to go and the principles that we're actually going to live by.
It's an interesting point. Diane, who I respect very much, is in this channel, and she's been here a long time, says a choice to love God or not, free will to love God or not. That's not a choice. Do you see? To love God or not. It is to love God or else. And I believe that's man. I don't believe that's God. Because if we don't love God, are you telling me that God doesn't love us unequivocally? Because I completely disagree with that. I think God's love is about as absolute guaranteed as the love of my daughter. I believe it is absolutely pure and 100% clean, unadulterated, that God loves his children, no matter how much they disappoint, no matter how many times they make bad choices. God's love is a guarantee. No, it's not about disagreeing, Diane. I'm saying, do we believe that God does not love us? Does not love all of his children equally? So just because we don't love God doesn't mean God doesn't love us. So it confuses me when people say that we must love God or else, because I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that if you don't accept God, that you burn in hell forever. I don't believe that. And the reason why I don't believe that is because there's nothing in that book that tells me that. Because there are going to be people who are unaware of God. There are going to be people who were not influenced by God directly. There are going to be people who did not receive the word of God. What happens to those souls? Do those souls all burn in hell because they simply were ignorant of the Lord's word? Because of financial means? Because of age? Because of conceptualization? Because of mental faculties? Maybe because of the demographics that they lived in. Maybe they were oppressed and they were beheaded if they tried to embrace God. What happens to Muslims? What happens to Jews? What happens to Orthodox? What happens to Presbyterians? What happens to Baptists? What happens to Mormons? What happens to people who call to Cthulhu? Don't you understand that we've changed the facet of religion to be a sports team? And instead of understanding that God is omnipotent and our feelings of love are probably not on the same level as a deity, and we can't conceptualize God's love. Because if we could conceptualize a single emotion that the Lord has, then wouldn't we be omnipotent? Wouldn't we be deities? Wouldn't we be gods in ourselves? And we can't understand the word of God, which is why he brought disciples and why it was discerned upon tablets from Mount Sinai and processed over the years through prophets. The word of God isn't understood by man because that's a deity. So it always bothers me when people talk about jealousy and impetuousness and love and rudimentary human emotions for somebody who is omnipotent. I would challenge us to change our ideas about religion and try to understand that there is a choice. And the choice is the rules inside the Bible that we've been asked to live by, which is caring for your fellow man. Because I have a sneaking suspicion, even though I'm not omnipotent and I understand God, that if we take care of our fellow man and we honor our family, and we try to be as giving as we can with our time, our money, and our emotions towards our fellow man, that in the end, we will live a fairly holistic life. And if we do, God will recognize that, whether we embrace him unequivocally or not. Because in the end, we have lived the best that our mortal lives can, because we are incapable of perfection. And I believe if our souls in the end ask for the forgiveness from our Lord, that we will not have to live a life of unabashed servitude to his name. That's my belief. God, I hope so, because I've done things that will put me in eternal damnation. And if this is true, I am most assuredly going to hell. If I cannot be forgiven for what I've done without understanding the word of God, but understanding in my soul that I have to forgive and I have to allow that hatred and that pain in my soul to escape, then I'm not deserving of God's love, am I? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves. Maybe not today. Maybe today we go and vote. You have free will to vote or not. There is a simple choice. You either vote or you don't. But I believe that if you don't vote, that you don't get a voice. That's the repercussion. It's not that a Democrat will take office or a Republican take office, that you don't get the right to say shit because you didn't say shit when it mattered most. It's just a conversation. Nobody should be offended. Nobody should be upset. Nobody should be feel thwarted. I'm not preaching to you what you should or should not believe. What I'm telling you is what you should or should not do. And what you should do is vote. Because it's your chance to get your voice heard. Because if you don't vote, it doesn't matter. Your voice doesn't matter. That's my belief. Mike, thoughts?
Well, no, I just love how you can go on all that and still bring it back to today's a very, very important day. Everyone needs to get out and allow themselves to partake in such an important and symbolic day in the United States.
Yeah.
There's many places around the world that they don't get a choice. They are told what to do. They are told how to dress, what to do for work, how to make money. Like so many people here don't realize the blessings that we actually have in this country. And now you have the opportunity to go out and shape that. So why not take that opportunity?
Yeah.
But with that opportunity also becomes responsibility. Understand what you're voting for, because elections have consequences. Whether they're good or bad, there's going to be a consequence for somebody. Mm-hmm. So understand who the candidates are, what they believe, and understand like how do you want this country shaped? Where do you want it to go? And then go out and make your voice heard. And today's the day to do it. So this is the time to get out, like no matter what you're doing, you've got 15, 20 minutes to go to one of these polling booths and actually get out there and express one of our rights that is very few in this world. So this is when we go out and need to do it.
And we do it. That's it. Simple. Gosh darn it. That was a great segment. I love that stuff. I'll do that all damn day. I love talking about voting. I love talking about government. I also want to talk about Bill Maher and Neil deGrasse Tyson Rodham Gainsbourg. Why does everyone have to have three names? You're a man, okay? You're a man. What did you do? Take your wife's name? Just Neil Tyson, Neil deGrasse, whatever it is. Just pick one, for God's sakes. Listen, these shows are never designed to make you question your faith. That's not why we're here. But if you're going to bring up faith, I'm going to address it. Okay? And I think that this is a very simplistic thought process. You vote, you get a voice. You don't vote, you don't. And you can say everything you want, but more importantly, you know that that's on hollowed words. And there are times where I have not voted, and there's times where I voted. And trust me, I always feel more aligned with my convictions when I vote than when I don't. Most people probably would feel the same way. This is an interview with Bill Maher and Neil deGrasse Tyson, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Neil, a lot of people consider Neil an intellectual. I think Neil is a prick. I just think he's a prick. It doesn't mean he's not an incredibly smart prick, but he's a prick. I think he's condescending. I think he does not try to teach. I think he tries to talk down to people. I think that he does not respect people who are not intellectuals. And I inherently kind of feel the same way sometimes, so I guess I'm a prick too. But one thing I never try to do is belittle people when they present the facts best known to them. That's something you shouldn't do. I'm not saying I don't belittle people. I most certainly belittle people. I ridicule people to the nth degree, but it's after I've given them an opportunity to denounce the thing that they're saying is factual when it's not. Neil moves right to belittling people. I love Bill Maher for a reason, because Bill Maher knows one thing more than anything else, is that he knows he's not always right. He also knows that he doesn't always have the answer. And a lot of people don't like him because of his stance on God, that he just says, I don't know. And I'm going to ask questions that make you uncomfortable. He does that very, very well. He also is a pot smoker. He also probably dangles with prostitutes. But you know what? We also love Joe Rogan. And for God's certainty, Joe Rogan smokes a ton of weed. And the last time I checked, he's not married. So him and Joe Rogan have a lot in common. And I think, in my opinion, Joe Rogan and Bill Maher are two of the smartest people outside of Jocko Willink who are interviewing people today, and Jordan Peterson and a few others. Russell Brand's also fantastic. But Bill Maher on this show gets shit-faced, smokes weed, and he does what he can't do on his show. But it's some of the most human conversation you will see because Bill has no problem calling it out. And in this episode, he calls out Neil for his lack of intellectualism when it comes to the truth. Truth. Neil, in my opinion, he latches onto ideology behind the ruse of scientific fact. That bothers me. Very similarly to Candace Owens, who challenges the moon landings. I would love to get her on a conversation and challenge her thought process. I would never want to talk to Neil about theoretical physics or quantum physics. But if he wants to tell me that quantum physics are the moral guidestones of humanity, I will browbeat him all day long in a conversation. I will destroy him. But I can't sit here and talk. And that's the difference. So when somebody tries to granulize a conversation into their specificity, their area of expertise, that is how you know that you have the ability to beat them in a conversation. It would be like me reverting everything to the military, or me reverting everything to hockey, or everything to politics. If I do that, I've lost the dialogue. Neil does that all the time and tries to bring it back to theoretical physics or quantum mechanics and never really talks about the human element. And when he does, they don't jive. Bill Maher calls him out for it, and it's beautifully done. There is some cussing in here, but there's some cussing on this live show. Suck it up, Buttercup. You've heard it before. And if you hadn't, you wouldn't recognize that he's cussing. So stop being a prude and listen.
Surely there's a portfolio of jokes that would still work on a college campus. Surely.
I would hope not. From what maybe some college campuses, the ones you read about are fucking insane.
You've given up on an entire generation, and you don't know how to make them laugh.
I have given up on any place that doesn't even remotely attempt to believe in free speech and thinks that anything that they hear that they don't like, that they don't agree with, is violence. These people are fucking nuts, and you should be calling them out. 100%. Somebody like you, who has standing with kids, should be not joining them.
When there's a science objectivity to it.
You're doing what parents do. You're taking the path of least resistance, and therefore hurting the kids and yourself. Parents ruin both their lives. They ruin their fucking spoiled kids' lives, and they ruin their own lives because the kids rule the roost. So that's what you're doing on a national level.
I'm feeling more like on the porch. Get off my lawn.
Really? I feel like we're in the barbershop.
and that is why Bill Maher is you're getting a haircut. We're in a barbershop. I mean, it's perfect. He brings it back to race. You know, put me on the porch, right? You know, get off my lawn. And Bill Maher's like, no, dude, I'm giving you a fucking haircut. I am taking you down a peg because he tried to do it. Did you hear what he said? Oh, well, I address it when it comes to science. And he falls back to his safe point. He falls back to where he goes, which is, no, listen, he's like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, in the end, when he's truly challenged on an idea, you know what he does? Oh, I'm just a comedian on Comedy Central. Come on, I'm just a victim. I can't possibly, it's not my responsibility to change foreign policy. When you speak to 12 million people a night, you are the authority on the subject, and you are changing hearts and minds. So for Neil Tyson deGrasse to fall back to, hey, I'm just a scientist. I'm just a man. I address the science. No, you're woke, and you believe in CRT. You believe that a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man. And when you know that that's bullshit, but the only reason you don't say it is because those people fund your channel and those people give you clicks. Mike, your thoughts on this guy?
Well, see, and this is one of those, every time he goes back to like, oh, well, he was trying to go at Bill for like, oh, well, you can't get this because you can't make him laugh. Like, that's...
Sorry, I'm pausing it.
Oh, no, you're good.
Go ahead.
Like, that's not what this is about. We're just trying to have a genuine conversation. We're like, hey, let's get to the root. Why do you believe this? Why do you not understand that what's happening on these colleges' campuses is not free speech?
That's right.
It is one-sided speech that if I don't agree with you, then I'm offended, I need my safe space and you need to get away, or because you're a different race or you're a different color, I need my own space with more like-minded people so that way I can get away from you and your hate speech. Like, it is so ridiculous that you're going to sit there and be like, oh no, well, I'm just going to go back to my science. Well, if you truly believe in the science, then you can tell me how many genders there are biologically.
That's right.
Like, it's very simple. I'm a Marine. I can count that high.
That's right.
It's 2.
And well, wait a second. Seahorses. Shut up.
Like, we're not freaking seahorses.
Stop it.
Like,
well, wait a second. But, hermaphrodites. Stop it. Genetic abnormality will never be the majority. Okay? So unless there's some sort of nuclear isotope that enters all of our body and we start growing elbows out of our foreheads and penises out of our nose, until that day happens, you are a genetic anomaly. Stop complicating the issue. Life is already complicated enough. And for you to sit here and say, because psychologically you decide that you're a different gender, well, then don't tell me you were born this way, because you just told me it's in your brain. So when I say to you it's a mental condition, you don't get to sit here and tell me, no, I was born this way. I didn't have a choice. Well, then you just told me it was a choice. That how you feel is different than your reproductive organs and your overall appendages, whether you have an innie or an outie. So it's not physical. It's not anatomical. It's mental. Fine. If it's mental, then you're fucking crazy. Because it's not a way of thinking. It's not about being a majority. The question between a man and a woman, it's not up for debate. There's no conversation here. We're not seahorses. You're not a rainbow spotted unicorn. Cisgender is a slur. Cisgender is like calling somebody a knuckle dragging heterosexual in the 80s and 90s. I don't understand. There's no conversation here. Everyone knows men can't have babies. Sorry. I know that may go against your thought process, but if you believe that, then you have a mental issue that needs to be addressed. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, see, and this where to me it all goes back to our education, because guess what? Like, I love Harry Potter. I love that fantasy world, but I also understand that it's a fantasy, that it's not real. But yet now we want to go back to where, and Bill even said in here, like, yes, the kids are running these households now. So you're going to tell me when I'm 10 years old thinking, hey, I can be Harry Potter, so I can go fly around on a broom? I can cast all these ridiculous spells and evaporate into thin air and go wherever I want? No.
Right.
It's called, you have to educate these kids on the difference between fantasy and entertainment.
Right.
Versus facts, biology, science, math, things that are constant. If we continue to go down this path of like, oh no, your feelings matter more than facts, then this is the world that we're going to get.
That's right.
You have to understand the difference between there are things that are true, there is right and wrong. And yes, there are times that like there's a gray area depending on wherever your morals are. But you have to be taught these things in a way that they can conceptualize them at an appropriate age, and then allow them to learn more and more, so that way they can understand, like, you know what? If you feel like, yes, you are the wrong gender and you're an adult and you decide to do that, cool. But that doesn't make you that gender. If you feel that way and you want to go, it's great. But everyone needs to get to a point where they can learn, conceptualize it, and then understand that they can go off in their fantasy land, but that doesn't make it real. And we have to be able to parse out and not cater to those folks just because like, oh, I need my safe space. Like, well, guess what? Life isn't fair. If life was fair, I'd still have my frickin' legs.
That's it.
So guess what? Life is not fair. There are people that are going to prosper. There are people that are going to be poor, and they're going to try their damnedest to get out of it, and it's not going to happen. But we have to do what we can to understand everything that's happening and allow the majority to prosper, and just understand life isn't fair. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, don't be sorry, dude. No, this is what the show's about. It's saying that Mike is no longer a bipedal human simply because he doesn't have his legs is a ridiculous comment. It doesn't make any sense. Mike is very well aware of what legs are. He's very well aware of what they were. And when people look at him, they go, oh, there's supposed to be legs there. Just because you sit there and remove your dick doesn't mean you're a woman. Because everyone looks at you and goes, there should be a dick there, even though they can't see it. And so when you sit there and call yourself Suzanne and wear dresses and wear lipstick, you still are a baritone, okay? No matter how much estrogen you take. And your voice will still be a man. And your Adam's apple says you're a man. And if we go ahead and we bury you in the dirt for 1,000 years next to a woman, you're still going to be a man and she's going to be a woman. And that's the way it is. And whether you want to go ahead and without your brain, without that thing right here, that neurosis, that's your only defense. If your story can't be told through your chromosomes, through your DNA, then the story is not worth telling because that's just anecdotal bullshit. I'm so sick of this argument. I will defend LGBTQ people. I will stand shoulder to shoulder. I'll march for them. And everybody deserves a right to human rights. And trans rights are human rights. Yeah. All that. I'm not even gonna, it's all gravy. You deserve to do whatever you want. Whatever tickles your pickle or lack thereof, I'm with you. But the moment that you sit here and tell me that I have to believe that CRT is real and that somehow black people have an actual claim to the United States of America based upon a hardship that they endured because they did the labor to build this country, that therefore it is theirs. No, it is ours. And if you're trying to segment reality with your own in order to make yourself feel better, you're the one who's trying to alter history, not us. This isn't about white and black. Slavery was abhorrent and it is told in schools. You may not like that. You may not like the way it's told, but that's the truth. And if we really want to go ahead and teach black history, let's go ahead and teach who really started slavery, which was the blacks.
Which tribe sold the other tribe in order to start this whole thing?
Let's have the real conversation. Let's have a real conversation. Let's talk about the Irish. Let's talk about the Chinese. Let's talk about the Japanese internment camps. Let's talk about modern day slave plantations. Let's really break this down if we want to talk about slavery, because if people think that child sex trafficking isn't a thing anymore, you're an idiot. If you think that slavery isn't a thing anymore, you're a fucking idiot. If you think that slave plantations aren't still here in the modern day cities, you're a fucking idiot. And if you think one party isn't responsible for all of that, you're also a fucking idiot. I'm done playing the games with you. I'm done sitting here and listening to liberals tell me that they're pissing on me and tell me it's raining. The woke culture needs to die. It is a fantasy. It is a complete alternate reality, and there's no base in it. It's not based at all. It's fake. It's as fake as what I'm going to show you, something we weren't going to talk about today, but I got to bring it in because Mike is going to piss himself. I'm going to let him react to this.
Oh, God. Okay.
Because it's that good.
Oh, fake Navy SEAL. Oh, man, you're already going to...
This is so good. Jesus. You're going to love this. And we only going to have like 7 minutes for you to go ahead and vent. Listen to this.
Can you tell me you're a Navy SEAL with, let's see, it's 4 Purple Hearts, a Navy Cross.
Oh, that's a Navy Cross with a star.
He's got a clustered Navy Cross.
Okay.
He's got a clustered Navy Cross. He's got a... Go ahead.
Is that a Navy... is that the wings?
He's got the Navy crosses at the top.
Well, I'm talking about the batch. Is that the flight wings?
Underneath? Oh, no. Yeah, that would be aviator.
Aviator. Oh, so he's a Navy SEAL aviator.
Navy SEAL aviator.
Got it. He's been wounded multiple times.
So it's 4 times at least. He's got 3 stars on his purple.
And he's got a silver star with a cluster.
Yeah. He's got the Meritorious Service Medal. He's got expert rifle and pistol. He's got an Iraq service.
Man, I feel like I need to stand up for this man. This guy
He's got Vietnam. He's got the Battle E. He's got the French Foreign Legion Meritorious Service.
Is that the Navy Good Conduct?
Navy. That's crimson. Yeah, it should just be full crimson. So there it is, right there with 4 stars on there.
And he's an officer, right?
Yeah, and he's got the good conduct above.
Yes, because they're definitely eligible for those.
These are not in order.
Iraq, Afghanistan. Jeez. Okay, all right, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, this is good. You're going to love this. I just want to know where his CMH is. Where's the Congressional Medal of Honor? If you're going to cluster the Navy Navy Cross, you might as well just put the CMH up there.
Bronze Star.
Yep.
Afghanistan, Iraq. 1 tour in each of Afghanistan.
1 tour in each. That's right.
Yes, sir. What was your name again?
Mark Johnston.
Mark Johnson.
Mark Johnson's a real hero there. Oh,
look at that uniform.
He could be in Iraq and Afghanistan at the same time.
Yeah.
Rear Admiral.
For the CIA Special Operations. What was it again?
Special Operations Division.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
That's how that works.
Okay, so all right, so let's just I'm gonna recap first of all. Damn it, I got it here. I think it's the second one. All right, I got it set now. So I'm going to recap. Rear Admiral, okay, 20 plus years of service guaranteed.
Yep.
Did you see a Vietnam campaign medal in there?
I didn't look down the far.
I didn't see it, but
Yeah.
it could have been in there. So 20 years at the minimum for a Rear Admiral. Maybe someone could do it in 16, 17 if they're stars on the rise and they're tracked. But okay, so Navy Cross, multiple Purple Hearts, Navy SEAL, Naval Aviator, and worked in the CIA Special Operations Division, which there isn't one.
Yeah, that's not what it's called.
There's no
That's
such
good
thing.
job.
There's no such thing as the CIA Special Operations Division. I don't care how fucking secret it is. It's in your head.
It's on the freaking website. Like, you can go look it up. It's not hard. Come on.
So not only, I just want to make sure I recap. This guy went through BUDS, went through a year of probation. So went through a year of training, then a year of probation before he got on a team, got on a team as an officer, led a team as an officer.
Yep. Did some heroic things.
Did some heroic things, some amazing things. Got the Navy Cross, all this. And instead of them saying, we're going to keep you around as a fast-tracked rising star admiral of the United States Navy SEALs, or at least give you a coast, we're going to go ahead and ship you off to pilot training.
Because who doesn't want to be Maverick?
Because everybody wants to be Maverick and nobody wants to be Goose. And this guy is not going to be a Goose. It's playing second fiddle with the SEAL teams anymore. So this guy decides to become a naval aviator. Goes back to Annapolis, I would assume. Or recommissions. Then has to go through naval aviator training, which, if I'm not mistaken, is almost 2 years.
It's a long course.
And then you have to sign up for at least 6 to 8 when you go through naval. So extends. This guy has now reached, based on his campaign medals, and you're not getting freaking a Navy Cross as a pilot. And you're probably not getting a Purple Heart as a pilot unless you're shot down and captured. And we would know this guy's name if he did. So therefore, he earned it in the field. So this guy's been in over 10, 15 years of war based on his medals, but now becomes a naval aviator and gets his wings.
But then when does he go to the CIA?
And not only, well, we're not there yet, because this guy
okay.
is also unsat and is literally 280 pounds in a Navy getup that doesn't even fit. That is not a naval uniform. That is a naval uniform that's been modified, because nobody in the Navy would be allowed to wear that because they wouldn't be able to make weight and they wouldn't go through PT quals. So not only is a Navy
Sorry,
SEAL...
Matt, one thing.
Yeah, go.
All right, we got some guy in the chat saying something is better than Chick-fil-A. There is nothing in the chicken realm that is better than Chick-fil-A. You're never going to convince me. Sorry.
Yeah, this isn't even something that deserves to be brought in chat, because that's like saying water is wet, the grass is green, and the sky is blue. Thank you very much. And then gets recruited after he does a year of flying, because they invest all that time into him just to give him a year. And they put him in CIA Special Operations, and under the low key of a uniform that screams, pay attention to me. So, Mike, there's your list. Go for it.
How long do we have? Because I do want to do...
I can extend for 5. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I do want to do the pictures for the other thing I had last night.
Yeah, we are doing... That's why I'm extending. So you do this, and then I'll extend.
All right, so this is the stereotype for... I have full regret that I didn't do something, that I didn't go in and actually serve. But I want, and anyone who, I mean, besides the SEALs that write all their freaking books and movies and all that bullshit, folks that actually serve don't want that recognition. They do not like when people actually come up and like, the thank you for your service, all that, like that. It is cringeworthy every time that happens. But when you have these folks that are out there like, oh yes, I did all this stuff. I have my Navy Cross and my Silver Star. This just shows that you're such a narcissist. Like, you want all that attention, but you're not willing to put in the work to go get it. And then you're going to throw in all of this bullshit of, okay, yeah, you want to be a SEAL. If you're actually a SEAL officer, you're maybe going to be on the teams and actually doing the real work for maybe 6 years, 8 if you're lucky. Then you're going to go up to command staff and you're going to be off the teams. So this is where you're just full lack of understanding of how anything happens. That's why anyone in the military who has been around these teams before can go up, look at you, and know you're full of shit, and know that you're just trying to get an attention grab. And I still don't understand why people think they're actually going to get away with this. There's enough folks out here that have been in the military, or at least understand it, to know that you're full of shit and you're just trying to get your, oh, thank you for your service, or like, oh, here, let me buy your meal since you're such a hero. Everyone who I know who I actually consider a hero
is dead.
Or they would never, like, yes, you can tell that they're military based on how they are, but they're not gonna put that out there.
No.
You just have to know them, and you have to have the opportunity to learn about them to even get there. So when I see people like this, it just infuriates me that you want to sit here and try to take that glamour when you're just completely full of shit. And this is one of those times, like, if I was there, I want to take my leg off and fucking throw it at you. Like, it's freaking ridiculous.
I bet if you asked him what team you're at, SEAL Team 6.
Oh, 6. Oh, yes, I was totally
total
6.
6. SEAL Team 6.
What team on 6? How many are there?
What squad inside?
Oh, yeah, squad. Yeah.
Which squad inside
what
6?
What unit is it?
What unit is that? Which one? Oh, I was on the Omega unit.
Omega. Oh, yes, the Omega teams.
The Omega teams. They're very pish posh.
Yeah, because if
those are the rollouts.
they are the rollouts. And if you actually know anything about the Omega teams, it weren't SEALs. There was more Rangers on them anyway. So,
you know, I was an Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta unit. So you were the ABCD unit?
Yes, ABCs, and the short bus took us to every conflict that we need.
See, people don't understand with the SEAL teams is that you may have Team 6, but you also have multiple
10 teams.
No.
How many?
12.
How many? Oh, there's 12. Okay.
Yeah, 12 teams. And Team 6 isn't called Team 6.
No.
And that's always the first sign. What team are you on? SEAL Team 6. Okay, you're an idiot.
Yes.
But then also the units inside the teams
have different names.
Different names. And I'm not going to go into deep detail, but it's not even more important because all I got to do is ask you what class you were in.
Yep.
And nobody ever knows. And if they do know the class, then I just pull the Chief Shipley movie. If you haven't watched Chief Shipley, watch him on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He exposes one of SEALs. He's fantastic. And this guy is so good. So freaking good. And Chief Shipley is amazing. And he was an EOD and he was an instructor at Buds, but also a team guy. And he knows every single team guy. He knows every single class. And he's renowned. He's just amazing. And he exposes these guys. And companies call him, and it's on their resume. And they say, hey, do you want to go expose this guy for us? Was he a real team guy? And he'll call them or do a Skype thing with them and expose them live. And just hearing some of these guys, you know what? We've got a little bit of time. And I'm not going to go too much longer, but I've got your time set aside. Mm-hmm. I'll just show you real quick. It's real simple. We'll just watch one of these.
You don't have to be a military veteran to be bothered by the thought of someone posing as a Navy SEAL.
But when you're a retired member of that elite fighting group, aggravation can lead to motivation and spending the rest of your life outing the fakes.
Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis tells us about one man who's doing just that. Randy?
That's right, Russ. Unfortunately, retired Senior Chief Petty Officer Don Shipley spent nearly 20 years as a Navy SEAL. Around 2008, he says he found a new calling in retirement, catching people who pretend to be a SEAL. And he says our state holds a dubious place of honor.
Georgia is the #1 state in this nation.
Have you seen him before?
I have not.
You would swear his hair is fake. It's not a toupee. And that's
what's that Trump toupee.
No, he's totally got it. But dude, he's just all man. Dude, his channel. If you've ever watched Dave Portnoy with One Bite, everyone knows a roll with a pizza. It's very much addicting. Like I just watch Shipley videos all day long, and I'm just like, dude, don't walk into the trap. Don't like, oh shit, landmine. Every time.
Don't do it.
And he's so affable because he's like, hey, yeah, okay, man, okay, and he strings them along, and then he just crushes them.
Imposters, SEAL imposters.
Why do we rate so high or maybe so low?
I really don't have any idea.
All Don Shipley knows is Georgians seem to show up more than any other fakes from the thousands of tips that pour into his home office in Maryland. People like Bob McDaniel of Cobb County.
May the 244th anniversary of our birthday only be the beginning here in America.
McDaniel walked into the Semper Fi Bar and Grill in Woodstock last month to celebrate the Navy's birthday, wearing the uniform of a Navy Rear Admiral. But the lies don't end there.
One of the challenges for me, I teach some of the most elite warriors on the planet.
McDaniel teaches self-defense classes around Metro Atlanta and also claims to be Special Forces, a member of the Army's Delta Force, and a Navy SEAL. But the military told us there's no record of him being in the Navy. In fact, it shows he spent 6 years in the Marine Corps Reserve, never saw combat, and made it only to sergeant.
You flew jets in the Vietnam War?
I did.
And you also became a Navy SEAL?
I did.
Why are you lying about your military record, Bob?
I would never lie about my military record.
Well, actually, I want to introduce you to a real SEAL. Behind you is a man named Don Shipley. He'd like to talk to you.
Don?
Admiral. Why do you think it's your duty to out them?
First of all, Shipley ain't no small slouch.
No, he is.
That boy is
Huge.
big. Shipley's hands are bananas, and see, this is the great thing about Shipley. He's a total chief. Sorry, he's total teddy bear, and he's a nice, lovable guy. Loves his wife, and honestly, he treats his wife kind of like I treat Olivia. And people get mad at me sometimes, but they have this special relationship. He's just a good dude, and this is why, like, I can't stand it. Like anytime anyone confuses me, and it's my own fault, right? I mean, I've got that kind of look. I take care of my body. I got the tattoos, and people go immediately a team guy because he's got. And I correct people all the time. I'm not a SEAL. Please, that's not the case. Let me tell you my relationship with the team guys and why I have the utmost respect, and that's important to me. And I've done that my entire career in life because it's a code. You just don't fucking claim you did something that you didn't do. Shipley is just. Love the guy because he's so good at this and he has no fear because he's like 6'6" and could fucking crush you.
They just do a terrible disservice to the military.
Shipley joined the Navy in 1978.
Look at that, dude.
Jesus, that mustache is
total.
He was born to be in the Navy.
This guy came out and he had an anchor in one hand, and he had, and
he already had the pinup girl on his shoulder.
Just totally, he had the dagger tattoo.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Eventually graduating from SEAL training in 1985. The elite unit, designed to fight on sea, air, or land, started during World War II. Shipley retired in 2003.
Everybody knows now what a Navy SEAL is. Not a lot of them know what a fake Navy SEAL is, but they're getting that word real quick.
He says after a fake Marine fooled him years ago, he decided to turn the tables. With the help of a private database of all SEAL graduates, Shipley says he and his wife Diane catch on average a dozen posers each day. He even started a YouTube.
How in the hell?
A day.
See, and this is where my faith in humanity goes down. Like, why are we continuing to bolster these things? Like, oh yes, I did all this amazing shit. Like, no, you didn't.
That's right.
Don't freaking lie about it. So I know this is a completely different thing, but when I was at the hospital, we had a guy who ended up losing one of his feet because when he was in Iraq, he fell off one of his vehicles.
Yeah.
Shattered the ankle. They tried to do limb salvage, but ultimately he had to take it.
Yeah.
For the longest time, he would tell people he got blown up because of like 99% of the amputees in the hospital all got blown up. There was some people that just some really unlucky gunshots. They ended up having to take the leg, but he started to lie about it. And thankfully, it was his wife who called him out on it. But when it comes to us, at least the amputee community, like we don't give a shit how it happened. We're all losing. We've all lost limbs. Right. We're all in the same boat. That now life is a struggle.
Yeah.
But you don't have to freaking lie about it. We all have our stories. It's a wide-ranging events of what happened. Like we don't care.
No.
And we're at a point here where it's like, oh well, I want those accolades. Like I want someone to like. If you truly want that, put in the freaking work. Yeah. You know how much more it's going to mean when you actually do that and you put in that work and you actually do it yourself.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would challenge is once you actually do that work, you're not going to want this.
No. There's nothing about it that the problem is that most of these guys served, and that's honorable.
Yes.
I don't care whether you did a 6-month stint and got out. I don't care if you went through Crucible and you graduated, you're a Marine. As long as you didn't leave dishonorably, and everyone goes, well, I left out dishonorably. I'm a Marine. No, you're not. You were dishonorably discharged. You're not a vet. If you're dishonorably discharged, fuck you. I don't care. Oh, my officer. No, I don't care. If you're a shitbag. And you know what? You're a dime a dozen. You don't deserve any respect. You're not a vet. You don't deserve benefits. You don't deserve recognition. I don't care. I was in Vietnam. I don't give a shit. You're dishonorably discharged. You have no honor. That's one requirement to be a veteran. And that's just my personal opinion. But if you served, you've done your time. You deserve recognition. You're in the brotherhood, man. You don't need to sit here and overboast what you did. I know exactly what I did. I was shit hot at Intel. I was great at it. I got my schools, and I got to play with a unit that was extremely limited and groundbreaking. Wow. I got to see a bunch of countries. I did more than some, less than others. And the one thing I always do on this show is I call out fake people. I do it all the time. And they come on and they try to boast. And I'm like, why are you sucking up to me, man? I'm nothing special. You don't have to impress me, man. The fact that you served is enough. But I've had people come on here and say they're SEALs. I've had people come on here and tell me that they were Delta. And I'm just like, it takes me 2 minutes to figure out that they're not. And I don't understand it. Amy Stamcombe is posting links. There's an article that you can find about me in 2 seconds. All you got to do is go to Google. And you can type Matt Spear and put Navy and put hero. And I have been working with this newspaper to have them take that shit out of the title for almost 2 years now. We did a fundraiser for Tammy's Diner, and they did an interview with me, and I said, I don't want it to be about me. You can use my name, you can do that, but please don't put shit about me. It's not about me, it's about her. And they put Navy hero saves local diner, and I'm like, don't ever fucking call me a hero. The heroes that I know didn't make it home. Those are heroes to me, and there's nobody who calls themselves a hero. Because I have talked to 17 Congressional Medal of Honor winners. 17. I have personally sat down and spoken to Congressional Medal of Honor winners. And I will tell you what they all say. I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero. So you guys got to understand that to me is really important to me. I don't appreciate that. And I don't even think that Mike, that's up to him to be called a hero, is something that he's comfortable with.
No, there's nothing that I did would even come close to that.
All right. Let's watch the rest of this real quick. Then we got your thing to do, and then we're done. 3 minutes. Oh. What do you mean you can't connect to the server? If you can't connect to the server, I'm going to lose access. We got like 160 people on. Let's get there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I hope we don't lose access. We shouldn't. I think it was a glitch.
No, you don't have to be a...
By the way, Dakota Meyer, someone I've sat down with, had whiskey with on a couple of occasions. He's a good human being, would never call himself a hero.
No.
Ever. Dakota would never call himself a hero. He wanted to go ahead and storm the White House and take the Turkish ambassador when we were drinking across the street one night and see if we could do an op. And I told him it's probably not a good fucking idea considering that we couldn't walk. We were at an event, black tie in tuxedos. And he's like, the Turkish ambassador's across the street. He's like, maybe we can go run an op. I'll show you that picture in a second. Listen to this.
3 distinct combat action written on there. Not more than anything that you admire them.
But these days, instead of outing people over the phone, Shipley likes paying a personal visit.
Oh, I bet he does.
Let's go back to Bob, the pretend Navy Rear Admiral and phony SEAL.
Let's wrap this up. You don't even have a combat action written on there. That's how people in the know can tell. Your presidential unit citation is upside down. You got a distinguished flying cross, and here you got 3 of them. 3 distinguished flying crosses, sir. This is stolen valor at its best.
I wouldn't steal any valor.
What the hell is that?
This first of all, well, I can't explain it right now.
A few days later, McDaniel called us to apologize for his actions, claiming he wore the Admiral's uniform to honor his late father that day, even though his father wasn't an Admiral either. McDaniel admitted all those other military claims also never happened. He could offer no explanation.
I feel totally deceived because up to this point, I respected the man.
What brought Shipley to Georgia was this picture posted on Facebook. An excited North Forsyth High School Navy Sea cadet beaming next to Bob McDaniel. So Shipley made contact with Reagan Hughes and delivered the truth in person.
I think it's an important lesson that you learn through this of how big and bad some of these clowns can be.
He also offered me to talk to one of his buddies about getting me into the Naval Academy. And I told lots of my ROTC friends about him, which now I got to go back and tell them that he was fake.
But he gets to tell his buddies something even better. Shipley has offered to be a mentor.
How long do you see yourself doing this? I don't know if I'll be able to stop. Every time I think I would, because they drive me nuts. I mean, they have
how much
years off of
enjoyment
my
he
life.
must get out of doing this.
These guys just listening to these endless lies.
We'll give him the left-handed salute. That's all he brings.
The old left-hand salute. Well, Shipley says he's even gotten calls from police during hostage standoffs to see whether the person involved.
So the thing about Shipley is that he gives them a chance.
Yep.
When he does his shows, he gives them a chance, and he's like, "Listen, man, just what class? 236. Oh, okay. Can you name 2 guys in your class? Name an instructor, and it's over. And all you had to say, you know what, man, I fucked up. How do I keep this? I've learned my lesson. I'll never do it again. You can check on me in 5 years. I'll never ever do this again. How do I make this as small as possible? How do I get through this with the least amount of embarrassment? I can't tell you how sorry I am. What do I do?" And you know what Shipley probably would do? He probably, listen, dickface, respect you for at least saying that. I have no respect for you for what you did. You screwed up. I'm watching you. The community's aware of you. Everyone knows your name. If you step 1 foot out of line, not only will I bury you as much as I was going to, you will feel it for the rest of your life.
And that's what people don't understand. It is a very small community.
Yeah.
It's not like you can hide this shit.
You can't.
I'm even surprised like how small, like where we live.
Yeah.
That people that everyone have served with, you can name someone and you're going to get there. It's not going to take that long to find someone that's that you have mutually served with.
That's right.
So like, you're not going to get away with this shit. Maybe you're going to press someone. Maybe you're going to get a couple ladies. You're going to get a couple free drinks, but it's going to come down. And it's going to come down hard.
You remember I told you about Will Fisher, who worked for Valor, and we were at Nimitzi Naval Marine Corps Training Intelligence Center at the same time. We didn't even know, and he ran a check on me because he's like, "This guy's full of shit." He's like, "This guy's full of shit. I got to check him out," and he did. Ran a full background check, and he came back to me one day and he put out his hand and he's just like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "Dude," he's like, "I know people who you know, and they know your name." And that's all we needed. Yep. And we know each other. And listen, Will, single amputee, 9 deployments, United States Army and Marine. So the first thing you hear is, wait a second, you were Army? You were in the Marine Corps and then you went in the Army? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's called get a promotion. Or if you're smart, a lot of the guys that, and depending on when they're in Marine Corps Special Operations, either was in a bad place or isn't where they want it to be, so they go to the Army.
That's right.
So they can go to SF or higher.
He didn't go SF, but he was Force Recon and MARSOC sniper, and he went to the Army and did something else in the Army. But when you hear that, your first question is, wait a second, why would you go from being Force Recon and work in MARSOC and then go in the Army?
Because you want to get promoted.
Right. But at that point, you still ask the question, just like this guy is a naval aviator SEAL who went in the Army and Marine Corps. Come on. So, but this guy went off Taipei and did diving and recovered World War II remains and was tapped to go and do that. And so this guy, fireman, police officer, and go look him up, Will Fisher. You could just pull him up right now and you'll see him. Will Fisher, fireman, Marine Corps, and his history is there. If you do just a modicum of research on people, you'll be able to find them and find out if this is true or not. You can request people's DD-214. Freedom of Information Act is a great thing. And that's why my DD-214, whenever I have somebody who comes on who's a WANA SEAL or a U.S. Gravy SEAL or MEAL Team 6 or any of these guys who come on, and I'm like, you know what? Post your fucking DD-2. I'll put mine up right. I've put my DD-2 up here with my Social Security gone, my entire service right there. It's all right there. It'll tell you where I've been, what I've done, what accommodation medals I have, what training I have. It's all my DD-2. I'll put it up for you right now if you put yours up. And those people are pop smoke. They're gone. Poof. You know what, man? It's classified. Okay. Okay, yeah. Sergeant Rock. We're going to shift gears. I would ask everyone to hang out. We had 182 on for that segment just on Facebook alone. We popped 265 total. So
that's awesome.
That was huge. Let's do this. I'm bowing out, and I'm gonna give it to Mike 120%. And I want him to kind of tell this story. I'm gonna share a few pictures, and that's all you need to know. Merry Christmas, Mike. Field's yours.
Yeah, say it for.
No, you're not ready yet.
Yep.
I screwed up. I done fucked up, Aaron. Hold on now.
Actually, I think this is a good segue because you're going from an individual who didn't work for their accomplishments and put out a lot of bullshit in order to get those accolades.
This one's going to be emotional, so I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
So,
breathe it out.
So yeah, this is going to be a hard day for me because someone who has helped me so much. 2 weeks ago, Kelly is her name. She passed away during childbirth and also lost her son in the process. The Chris, who you see in the Army uniform, that's her husband. He's also an amputee that they met at Walter Reed. And they also have a girl. So I guess why this is a little harder for me is that when you find people who actually make a difference, that when I initially got hurt, I ended up going through Germany. And although I was in a medical coma, Kelly was there doing her clinicals to be a physical therapist. So that's where like our journey first started. And then when I was at Walter Reed, she was one of my main therapists. And I cannot tell you how many lives that she truly impacted, and how many people that she truly helped for the better. And it's not that she worked at the hospital. She also would volunteer at physical therapy colleges around the area, so that way they could learn how to deal with amputees and what it truly means to have young athletic servicemen and women who were just injured, and how to actually work with them, because most of these physical therapists have only worked with folks who have diabetes and end up losing legs from that. So she was truly a pioneer in helping us, how genuine she was. And then Travis Mills, he is one of the 5 living quads from Afghanistan. He has a foundation up in Maine. So she transitioned to being one of the directors of Travis Mills. So they do retreats for veterans and caregivers. So that way we can continue our journey, our growth, and our healing. And the reason I want to do this today is because today actually
here in about 30 minutes is her funeral. But this is where there's some people who they have to wonder if they've actually made a difference. And they've actually done something with their life. And Kelly is not one of those people that obviously, like, she died way too young. She had a lot more life to live, a lot more lives to impact. But I just wanted to take a few minutes today and just honor her because of how much she's actually helped me and how many people she's actually helped. So if you take a few minutes, if you guys pray, please keep their families in their prayer, because I know Chris is obviously in a very hard spot because he just lost his wife, his son, and he still has to care for his daughter. So just keep them in your prayers.
What was the best story you have of her, as far as, it doesn't have to be funny, but something that you'll remember about her that at least brings levity in a time of darkness?
Because honestly, for me, it's not one, just because, like, she was there for my entire recovery, and I only went up to Travis Mills once, but, like, she was always that person to reach out to be like, hey, how are you doing? I know she tried to get me to keep going back up to Travis Mills because she knew it's like getting up there, getting back with other amputees, getting that sense of community it's huge. That's one of the places that you can go to heal. And she understood that. And she also understood how to work with us in order to get where we wanted to go. It's not one of those people like, oh, you have to do all these things. She was very genuine in, where do you want to get to? How can I help you get there? And what ways do we need to figure out that's non-standard or develop some new way in order to get there? And so, yeah, it's definitely not just like one story, but just all the memories and all the people that I know that she touched. Just one of those amazing humans that the world is definitely a lesser place without her. And I just hope that Chris can find the strength and find however you move on from this and then still take care of his daughter.
Can I ask a personal one?
Yep.
Is her funeral right now or later today?
I think it either starts like 11 or 11:30, but it's here pretty quick.
Can I ask you, for personal reasons, but also because you're my friend, is why not be there?
For me, like,
you don't have to explain it to me. I think it would help the audience understand why. I know why, but
see, for me, like, I can't do funerals.
Yeah.
Say, I've lost enough people, either friends, people I've served with, my career after the military, and then now it's just the way I honor my friends, the people I've lost, is very different. But also a lot of it, like, I've got to do internally and on my own time and how that is. And
yeah,
it's just, I would love to be there. It's just one of those things I can't do.
Yeah. It closes. Its finality is it's hard, and it's hard to close that door. I can't explain it either, man. I don't go to funerals. I can't. I don't do it because I'll always remember that, and that's not what I want to remember. It's not my way to say goodbye, and it's just not my way. I want to thank you, man. I know this is hard, and I told you this show would be therapeutic, and it would also be difficult, and always hard. It's never going to be easy. If there's one thing that you could correlate this back to veteran health and mental health, what would be the message? And that's the interesting thing, is that her job was to save people's lives and to keep veterans going, and to have something like childbirth, which we consider to be as normal and simple as changing tires or changing oil in a car. It's not. And it is a traumatic and difficult and destructive thing to the female body in a lot of ways. And it's dangerous. And it's more dangerous in the United States than any other place in the civilized world. It's incredible how many women we lose to childbirth in the United States. And it's a scary statistic. What's the message to veterans when it comes to this? Would like to hear it from you, and then I got a thought, and then we'll go from there.
I mean, this is veterans, but also just anyone who's dealing with things. Like, there is no right answer on how to deal with things. Everybody grieves differently, and there's not one secret potion that's going to help you deal with it, help you grow and understand it, and how to live with it.
Right.
Because I certainly, I've got enough things in my past, I don't know how to live with it, and what is it? It's been 13 years for a lot of mine, and I still don't know how to live with it. Mm-hmm. So you have to find a way to start processing it, and then you're never going to lose it. You're always going to have it with you, but how do you take that and change it from either a moment that takes you down or takes you to a bad place, and how do you change that to take it to a happy place, to get to the good memories, or how do you use that to live your life in such a way that that's how you honor them?
Yeah.
You don't get down in the dumps. You don't just go to the bottle, and you don't just do the pills to try to feel something. You live your life in a way that you honor their sacrifice and the life that they can't live.
Yeah.
So you got to live your life to the fullest, in whatever that is, in whatever way that is, to honor those folks and always remember them, because they're never going to be gone. Yes, you're going to get times where you're not going to think about them as much, but they're always with you, and you just have to learn. Because I know it's the same thing with funerals, is that I know I've got one of my buddies who's buried in Arlington, and I used to go there all the time. Mm-hmm. But that would always take me in such a downward spiral that now I can't go there.
Yeah.
That you just got to find a way to turn it into a positive. And obviously, I don't have the answers to that. I don't know how to do that yet. But you just have to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and just figure out how to make that better.
Yeah.
In whatever way you see fit.
I'm not an obstetrics expert. I can only tell you what I know, and what I've seen, and commonalities between complications in childbirth. Sometimes it's genetically disposed. Sometimes it's something that's unforeseen. But Mike said it best, and in a way where we have to keep it humane, but also be realistic, is that it's a parasitic relationship with a mother where she is a host. And the body needs its nutrients and its sustenance, its vitamins, in order to maintain your health. And that baby will become the priority. And your body will take it from you and give it to that child. And because that's the natural order of things. And if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't change your diet, if you don't exercise while you're pregnant and do the things required and have the right vitamins and right nutrients and the right appointments and ensure that you're being monitored, you're giving your overall health and well-being up for hostage. And Mike said it best. It's a parasitic infestation. When we want to talk about it as it's beautiful and it's a baby and it's life, yes, all of those things are true. But truly, to the human body, it's a foreign thing that's growing that takes a lot of who you are away. And it changes moms. It changes their heart. It changes their body. It changes their feet. It changes their hips. Think of the bone transformations in the hips that take place in order to get ready for childbirth. Think about the weight, the stress on the spine. Think about the extra stress on the heart. It's an incredible transformation from people almost doubling their size and their mass. And it's dangerous. You have to take it seriously. That's all. The last thing I'll say for veterans is that your life is the most crucial thing. And the footprint that you leave in life stays whether you're here or not. And the pain that you're feeling, I've said this to hundreds of veterans, is absolutely manageable. But if you take your life, all you're doing is transferring the pain you feel to somebody else. And it is the most palpable and true statement that helps most veterans because they never want to hurt the people that they love and they don't want to transfer that pain to somebody else.
Yep. I know at least one of my biggest regrets is when I got blown up, not being able there to be there for my guys and actually help them when they had to continue the fight when I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, all that self-doubt. Why am I here? Why are they gone? That self-deprecating stuff, that's all window dressing to the truth is that either there's a reason or there's not, and you're not going to find it at the end of a gun. Maybe that was the answer when you were over there, but it's not now because it either internally damns your soul or you will fade to black and never receive the answer. So that's not the solution. The solution is to stay here on this mortal coil for as long as possible, to learn to adapt, to overcome, to take the fight to the enemy, which is yourself. You have to fight yourself. You're the problem. You have to admit you're the problem and get help. And when you do that, you'll overcome. But you don't get an answer from the end of a gun. You either internally damn your soul if you believe that, or you don't. And then you don't get an answer anyway because it's all going to be black. So the answer is right here. This is the only place to find it for now. So stay here. Fight. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. The Veteran Crisis Hotline is there and designed to help. During the holiday season, 25 veterans commit suicide and take their own life or more on average a day. Veteran Crisis Hotline, 988-PRESS-1. Go ahead and dial that. You can also text the number 2 and get the help you need. It's free of charge. Nobody is pushed away. It may say Veteran Crisis Hotline, but it also takes people like you or anyone else who didn't serve because their job is mental health. It's free of charge. They'll give you an evaluation. They'll ask for your insurance if you have it, and if you don't, that's okay too. It won't cost you anything, and it starts with a phone call. If you can't make that phone call, you reach out to Mike, you reach out to me, you can reach out to any of the veterans who are on the show. I've done it with hundreds. I'll be happy to do it again. Just reach out to us at any time. owner@don'tunfriendme.com. You can reach me by email, or you can click the VCL link at the top of my webpage at thedumbshow.com, top right-hand corner, and ask for the help that you desperately need. Thanks for watching the show, Mike. Thanks for sharing your story. Overall, I was happy with the show. Good show. Glad we went a little bit longer today. It was worth it. It was a great testament and a great eulogy to a great friend. May God rest her soul. When are we on next again, Mike?
We'll have the normal night show tomorrow night. I will not be on that, but we'll be back on Thursday at 8 a.m.
Yeah. I'll be back Wednesday. Looks like I'm going to do a solo. Recorded show will start again tomorrow. I'll have that done for you. And I'll have a live show Wednesday night. And then Thursday, Mike and I at 8 a.m., as we said. And then Friday, recorded show and live show. On Friday will be a busy one. Mike will have his new beautiful lights and his new mic stand, which I'm sure he'll be very excited to try out. Yes. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Go over to thedumbshow.com, pick yourself up a cool hat. Not this one. This is the abs, but get yourself a cool shirt.
Yeah, get a much better hat than that one.
Whatever, dude. Coffee. Don't Unfriend Me mugs all over there. 10% goes back to the Travis Manion Foundation. Every year we cut a check to TMF for all the sales and proceeds that we do, and those 10% goes to them. You also can save 10% by using code DUMB10. Great holiday features, great sweatshirts there. I got some long sleeves. Go over there and take a look. Mike, thanks for being here. You guys, we will go out like we always do with a quick, short, and a goodbye. If you guys need anything, reach out to us.
Remember to go vote.
Everyone get out.
Go vote and go take care of it ASAP. I've got to find the closing video. I don't know.
Oh no! Did you lose it?
I think I did. I reorganized everything, and I think I organized it too well. Shite. Hold on. Maybe it's right. About there. Good night.
Take care, everybody.